think of him as an agent of instability, and India is a natural target for individuals like these who might not be partial to a nationalistic government that would like India to become a force of global dominance. Soros is widely known to fund many who are part of an ecosystem here in India of Western elites, or westernized elites rather, that militate against the effort to construct a new Bharat built on its civilizational dharmic values, and which poses a challenge to the Western worldview, to the Western order. 5 months after income tax sleuths surveyed the #1 Latvian's think tank, the Center for Policy Research, the Home Ministry has suspended the institution's foreign funding license for the next 180 days. In short, for the next 6 months. This suspension of the FCRA license has ostensibly taken place because foreign funding norms have been violated. That's the basic allegation. Interestingly, an overwhelming quantity of the Center for Policy Research's funds come from overseas donors. We'll deep dive those numbers in a short while. The center's action has predictably stirred the proverbial hornet's nest in Latvian's Delhi. The think tank has long been a bastion of what the right wing in India calls the Khan market set. Many of its members belong to this Khan market set, routinely and harshly criticize policies of the government and the leadership of the country. The ecosystem now sees this scrutiny by the IT department, by the center, as a bid to silence the critics of the government, viewers. Now, as you know, before we deep dive, as I told you, the entire fund source of the CPR, let me tell you what the CPR has said. It issued a statement where it confidently claims that it has no reasons to fear scrutiny. It says, and I quote, FCRA license suspended by the MHA for 180 days. Detailed and exhaustive responses have been submitted. We are in complete compliance with the law, routinely scrutinized and audited by government and the CNAG. Annual balance sheets are in the public domain. Our aim is to protect constitutional guarantees, unquote. It also says that it is unbiased and law-abiding. It is independent, unbiased, and law-abiding. Now, as I said, the CPR is getting a lot of support, mostly from anti-India types, anti-NDA rather types, and the opposition. Viewers, let's play out some of those sound bites.
सेंटर फॉर पॉलिसी रिसर्च आज से नहीं 1973 से पढ़ रहा था, आज की 1973 से ये चल रहा है, और जिस समय आने पर वक्तन सरकार को एक सुझाव भी देते थे और सरकार उनको अमल भी करती थी। तो ये मैं समझता हूँ कि आज की जो सरकार ने जो फैसला किया है, तो मैं कहता हूँ ये एक और इनकी तरफ से कदम है हिंदुस्तान में, मैं कहूँगा पूरी इंडिया में डेमोक्रेसी सेटअप को एक और चोट है।
These days the center is using its agency for its own sinister purposes, and that also for the organization opposed to them. They raided using the income tax, and CBI they raided the BBC premises. So center has lost its credibility as to on what grounds it suspends the registration of FCRA and all.
And it used to help the Indian government. The policy research was to understand India, to go for any dangers of this which we are facing. And by that, the government of India had used to make the policies. It is unfortunate why they have stopped it.
Now, as I said, viewers, ordinarily receiving funds from foreign sources is not a crime. It shouldn't even be a crime. But for some reason, the government, and we're yet to actually get an official statement from the government, on this suspects that certain funding norms have been undermined, violated. As I said, viewers, the CPR receives a huge amount of foreign funds. It has received over 16.5 crores in 9 months of last year. Of this, rupees 2.6 crore came from Soros' Namati alone. Those figures are there on your screens. Let's look a little deeper. George Soros is a founding member of Namati. He gave a veiled call for regime change recently, and Namati funds Center for Policy Research, which is headed by Yamini Iyer, the daughter of Congress leader Mani Shankar Iyer. None of this, viewers, is problematic. None of this, except for the fact that George Soros has an agenda, and he speaks of it openly. Has that agenda, that anti-Modi agenda, riled up the agencies at the center? Have they been provoked? Could they not stomach his criticism and they're taking it out on CPR? It's quite possible, viewers. It's quite possible. Let me just very quickly tell you what the CPR does. Now, the CPR, viewers, as I told you, is a think tank. It's a very, very important think tank. It's one of the most well-known think tanks. It's been a leading public policy think tank, in fact, since 1973. CPR is non-profit, calls itself non-partisan, independent institution dedicated to conducting research that contributes to high-quality scholarship, better policies, and more robust public discourse about the issues that impact life in India. And it also goes on to say the CPR brings together India's best thinkers and policy practitioners who are at the forefront of both research and engagement in the policy space. Drawing from various disciplines and professional backgrounds, CPR conducts advanced and in-depth research on a wide range of policy-relevant issues with a focus on India's 21st century challenges. Through its research and policy-making engagements, CPR works closely with policymakers in its aim to place India firmly on the path of building a 21st century policy ecosystem. So basically, viewers, if a policy is being designed by a government, a state government, a department of the government, they can lean on the CPR and its brain's trust to help them shape it. There's nothing wrong in that, viewers. Consultation is important. Now, viewers, plenty of institutions in India are funded by Soros. So why should we be worried just about CPR? Now, we spoke to some leading experts, and here's why they think CPR's foreign funds are problematic. And some of them spoke to us off the record. They say that CPR has received funds from Soros and others who are sympathetic to Soros's objectives. The foreign fund infusion into CPR between 2019 and 2020 stands at rupees 32 crores, 8 times more than domestic funds, which stand at about 4.13 crores. Between 2015 and 2021, CPR received rupees 100 crores from abroad for, quote, educational purposes, unquote. But CPR doesn't run any education institutions. That is what we are being told. We're subject to be corrected on this, viewers. CPR's list of faculty are associated with foreign institutions. They are allegedly not vetted by the government, like foreign journalists, for example, are working in India. Now, unvetted CPR faculty enjoys access, some say, to country-sensitive data and policy papers. And if these individuals are being funded by other individuals, viewers, or have ties to other institutions which may not be non-partisan, they might actually be partisan. They could give the government wrong advice. They could criticize where perhaps no criticism is required. They could throw off policy making. Now, CPR is paralegal partner, we are told, of Namati in India. Namati, of course, was founded and funded by George Soros. Namati funds legal cases through CPR. Experts say this could also constitute an FCRA breach. Now, before we open this up to debate, I want you to listen to George Soros once again. He spoke recently in Geneva, if I'm not mistaken, or in Switzerland to be exact. Listen into this.
It's a democracy, but its leader, Narendra Modi, is no Democrat. inciting violence against Muslims was an important factor in his meteoric rise. India is a member of the Quad, which also includes Australia, the US, and Japan. But it buys a lot of Russian oil at a steep discount. Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament. This will significantly weaken Modi's stranglehold on India's federal government and open the door to push for much-needed institutional reforms.
Now, viewers, when you look at George Soros, who's finding it difficult to read out of a prepared script, you'd say, what possible threat could he pose to India, a mighty country like ours? Even if he is funding, do you think Indians would sell their souls to his agenda? Well, viewers, those are some of the fundamental questions that we seek to answer. Let's open this up. And I want to begin first with Sanjay Jha and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, in that order. Sanjay Jha, are we today under attack? As you know, the foreign minister of the country, the prime minister of the country, have both talked about the foreign hand. The Congress had talked about it in the past, in the very recent past. And all these big leaders and massive parties like the Congress believe that democracy can be undermined here in our country. And I can give you several examples of Congress leaders, including Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi and the last Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, talking about the pernicious foreign hand, etc., in different contexts. Now, if this is indeed the case, shouldn't we be worried that Soros and perhaps others like Soros are funding institutions where there are, we are told, unvetted scholars, etc., who are advising the government on policy? There could be, and we know through the past, and we know how democracies work and have worked to undermine communism in the past. We've seen this sort of, it's called different sort of form of espionage, etc. You can call it what you want to. Why shouldn't we be worried? Why should we always think that this is a crackdown, intimidation, as the opposition says?
Rahul, my short answer is I don't think India is under attack. There is no conspiracy theory. These are all tilting at the windmills. This is nothing but the typical BJP playbook, standard propaganda to try and basically wear the cloak of patriotism and nationalism to deflect from serious problems that India is confronted with. Let me tell you something here. India is not under threat from anyone. But I think all ordinary Indians are under threat from this government of Mr. Modi. That is the real truth. The second point, everything that, George Soros said, by the way, has been said 1,000,000 times before by one of the most respected Indians worldwide. By the way, he also happens to be a Nobel laureate. And I'm talking about Dr. Amartya Sen. Read Dr. Amartya Sen on India. Probably no one can challenge him. I dare anybody from the BJP. I challenge anybody from the RSS. I throw the gauntlet at any cheerleader for this government to come and tell here on the show that Dr. Amartya Sen is unpatriotic, anti-national, or practices, some seditious kind of an agenda.
He may not be any of those, but he might actually be wrong.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
one second, Sanjay Jha, this Dr. Sen, Amartya Sen, he's a Nobel laureate, yes, indeed he is. But do you know, he says, and it's on record, that there is nothing called Hinduism. Should we agree with him?
Let me answer your point on
No, I'm just asking, should we agree with him on this? There is nothing called Hinduism. It doesn't exist.
You can agree or disagree with
No,
him
why should we
on
disagree?
various aspects.
No, we shouldn't disagree. No, hang on, 1 minute.
Let us nail
One
the
second.
discussion
No,
here.
Sanjay Jha, you held
us
him up.
nail
No,
the
1 minute, 1 minute,
discussion
1 minute,
here.
1 minute. You held him up as a Templar of credible
I do.
analysis.
I do.
Do
He
you
endorsed
agree?
my
If
book.
he is so
I have the
credible,
greatest respect for
he
him.
wrote a book. He wrote a book, a bestseller, a very influential book, where he comes out and says there is nothing called Hinduism. I can quote him. Would you agree with him?
Well, let me tell you, Dr. Amartya Sen endorsed my book, and I have the highest respect
So that's
for him.
that's because he endorsed your book. Achha, theek hai, chalo. At least you have been honest.
Can I carry on?
I don't know. At least
Can I
you've
carry
been
on?
honest. But I want to ask you,
Yeah.
do you believe that there is nothing called Hinduism? I'll quote him right now.
Why
And
are
I'll
you
get
trying
the
to
quote
divert
out.
the subject, Rahul?
I'm not. I'm asking you. You said
You
that
are.
he was a credible person.
He
Now,
is.
if he's so credible, and he writes in his book, his great book, that there's nothing called Hinduism, should I believe it or not?
That's your personal call. Anyway, let me
No,
answer
why
the
should it
question.
be my personal call?
This government.
No, I'm asking
this
you,
government-
do you stand by, since he,
Rahul, do
no,
not
hang on,
interrupt
since
me.
he vouched out, you brought him up. You said we must listen to what Amartya Sen says, because what he
Because
says
he said
is
exactly
absolutely
what
right.
George Soros said.
George Soros has a problem with India. He said so.
So you think Dr. Amartya, are you calling Dr. Amartya Sen an anti-national?
I'm not.
Are you?
I'm not.
Are you?
I'm not. I'm saying.
So good.
I'm saying.
So
I'm
we are in
saying.
agreement
No,
then.
1 second. Excuse me. Don't
Right.
jump to that conclusion. Don't debate here like class 2 students. Let's grow up. I'm asking you. You want me to believe he's credible. You want to believe everything he writes is the flaming truth. I want to ask you. He wrote very controversially, my dear Sanjay, that there is nothing called Hinduism. So let me ask you, do you believe this?
Let me tell you, I'm a Hindu. I'm a Brahmin. I believe my religion.
you don't
has got
exist,
its
my dear
sanctity.
friend.
Yeah, but
Amartya
how
Sen
does my
said
view
so.
matter? Let us here nail the
Because
issue.
I am
Mr.
talking
Modi's
about
Mr.
scholarship.
Modi's
No, hang on.
government is
I am
authoritarian.
talking about people
This is a
who want
dictatorial
to.
government.
Okay.
This is
Sanjay
an
Jha.
autocracy.
Sanjay Jha,
This is
I
an
have no.
illiberal democracy.
I am
They're
not here
scared.
holding
Why
a
is Mr. Modi's government so scared? That's
Okay,
the point
I'm not
that we
here
need to
holding a
make.
candle for
ये डरते
anybody
क्यों हैं?
or a brief for
मोदी जी
anybody.
की सरकार इतनी डरती क्यों है?
Okay.
That's a question we need to address.
We will address that question. I'm only saying, sir, you
ये
held
इतने
him up.
डरपोक क्यों हैं?
Okay.
इतने
You held him.
tired क्यों है? ये इसका जवाब हमको ढूंढना पड़ेगा।
Okay.
भैया राहुल जी,
संजय जी,
प्रजातंत्र
okay,
है, ये लोकतंत्र
okay,
है।
okay,
ये
ठीक है।
भाजपा का कोई सुनिए,
ठीक
ये
है।
भाजपा का कोई जमींदारी नहीं
अच्छा,
है।
ठीक है।
ये मोदी जी का कोई प्राइवेट
Okay.
फिफ्टम नहीं है।
ठीक है, at
ये
least-
महान देश है ये।
अच्छा, ठीक
और
है।
इस देश को बचाने के लिए हम लोग सब लड़ेंगे।
ओके,
ये
ठीक
कोई
है।
डरता नहीं है
अच्छा,
यहाँ पर
आपको
मोदी जी
टिकट
लोग
मिल
की
जाएगा। आप
वजह से।
रिलैक्स कीजिए, 2 मिनट तो वेट
है ना?
कीजिए सर, 2 मिनट वेट कीजिए, 2 मिनट वेट कीजिए। आपने बहुत बोला, अच्छा बोला, बड़ी जबरदस्त
अरे
खुल के
भाई,
बोला,
तानाशाही
और
का
हमारे
राज
को
नहीं चलेगा।
ठीक है, नहीं चलेगा। अच्छा, संजय झा, now relax, calm down. Okay, relax. 30 seconds, please. Don't keep interrupting. The point of the matter here, viewers, is very simple. Tanashahi, dictatorship, dictatorial regime. All that has been said today by Sanjay Jha, you could not say in any dictatorial regime, which proves the point. Which proves the point.
Rahul, let me tell you.
No, don't. I need to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. I need to go to others. Why are you getting into a slanging match with me, sir?
You know that.
Bhai, I am not addressing you right now.
करते हैं, कोई अपना रेगुलर फोन पे बात भी नहीं करता है कि मोदी जी कहीं सुन नहीं रहे हैं कि यार हम लोग क्या बातचीत कर रहे हैं। तो कल देशद्रोह के आरोप में
Okay. Sanjay Jha, you have spoken for 11 minutes by the watch. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
Good.
Rahul. Thanks, Rahul. You've been kind.
The platform that the Congress doesn't offer you, Times Now does. So please keep that in mind. We love
noted.
you. We love
Noted.
you. We love you for the fact that you can come out here and abuse Modi night after night, and
I
Modi
don't
takes
abuse
it.
him, I call him out
We
on
Modi
facts,
takes
Rahul.
it.
Let's clarify
Let me bring. It's okay. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
haven't called anything to
You
his
can call
father,
him a
and
dictator.
I've not insulted
You
him
can call
personally.
him. It's fine, sir. You are entitled to your opinion. I'm telling you this. It's good.
Sure.
It's good. You've done it for a large number of years. Nothing has happened to you. Your freedom of expression has never been circumscribed. No one is worried. Nothing. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, look, I'm not somebody who sits and supports bans, etc., on free speech, etc. Obviously, I do believe that free speech should not be absolute. That's a little point of difference that we have. But nonetheless, there are certain institutions, as there have always been throughout history, certain individuals who may have a problem with India's rise. Should we just throw that out of contention? Should we quote Dr. Amartya Sen and listen to whatever he says at point blank face value and say, "Theek hai, inhone keh diya, so that means it's true"? Just bringing you into this conversation, what do you make of the fact that the centre has blocked foreign funding avenues for 180 days to Latvian's #1 think tank?
Good evening, Rahul. To paraphrase Kennedy, ask not how these journalists, activists, failed academics and policy analysts became frauds. Ask how these frauds became journalists, activists, failed academics and policy analysts. Needless to say, they, along with their army of woke automatons, are now crying death of democracy, death of democracy. Honestly and ironically, Indian democracy must be immortal, considering it dies every waking day, and so for it to do so, it must be alive every waking day. Look, as I see it, there are 3 points that every rational and logical human being would consider when analyzing this issue. This narrows it down by excluding all leftists. Number one, has this happened for the first time? No. The Congress cancelled the FCRA licenses of 4,138 NGOs in 2012 when Sanjay Jha was not suspended from the Congress. But no one cried death of democracy then. Why? Why were these chauthi fails silent then? Answer is because they were all Congress's chauthi fail. Sarkar bhi unki thi aur system bhi unka tha. Number two, there is no doubt that this think tank has become a methane-spewing landfill of lies, fraud and selectivity, employing the dregs of the society, unemployment, urban Naxal academics, Nepo dynasty doormats, and surviving only because some geriatric jellyfishes hobbling around in a Zimmer frame 1,000 miles away and dreaming of a rose-tinted revolution throw some pennies in their piss pot. Question is this the only such mental asylum in India spewing venom? The answer again is no. There are dozens of such outlets, media houses and digital portals. Has Modi banned them all or thrown them all in jail? The answer is again no. In fact, CPR is a kindergarten crash compared to what a kiosk manned by a US citizen dishes out every day. Rahul, please understand. From the fake church attack to Justice Loya to Rafale to selective lynchings to Ayodhya judgment to hijab, they have been exposed every time, but every single time they brazen it out. In the garb of being virulently anti-Modi, they are anti-progress, anti-human rights and anti-everything. They stand on farm bills, they stand on CAA, and 370 has proven this. Trust me, all this Modi hate and irrational anti-government analysis works in Modi's favor. Because irrational criticism of his policies allows him to conveniently shift the focus away from rational criticism of his policies. And these fools don't get this. Finally. The Congress and its dinosaurs hatchery CPR had a golden chance to go after the BJP when the courts convicted the BJP of FCRA violations in receiving funds. But they didn't do anything. Know why? Because the same court convicted the Congress too of the same offense, and everyone remained silent when the BJP, with the Congress's support, shamelessly, retrospectively amended the FCRA Act so that the court conviction was rendered impotent. Why was there no death of democracy then? I'll tell you why. Because the Congress was murdering democracy. No one kills democracy when the Congress is the killer.
Well, Ashutosh, and let me bring in Jahangir Ali. Jahangir Ali, let me ask you this question. Are certain organizations reflexively above question? And the moment you ask a small question of them, democracy dies? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That there should be a foreign fund free run in this country, no questions asked? Because, my gosh, we are today silencing free speech.
Thank you for the invite, Rahul. First of all, I would like to say that I'm a free speech absolutist. So, first thing first, the premise of this ban on FCRA contributions to CPR is based on, it's a flawed premise based on the understanding that government is made up of a bunch of idiots who can be easily swayed by some policy wonks sitting in an office and having coffee, which is not true. Government is much more beyond that. Number two is the issue of having this healthy and and a very important key component to a democratic society like India, to have a healthy exchange of ideas, where ideas are allowed to flourish, where ideas are allowed to be kind of refined and tailored in a way which is good for the country and good for its people. You can debate an idea, but an idea is not supposed to be crushed. What the government, although there is nothing has been said by the government on record about what it has found against the CPR and all that.
I mean, I completely, you see, when someone says that they're a free speech absolutist, then let me ask you a question, Jahangir Saab. Did you endorse Nupur Sharma's, one second, Dr. Ranganathan, 1 second. Do you endorse Nupur Sharma's views that she spoke on national TV, since you're a free speech absolutist?
Rahul, you don't know who you are talking to.
No,
and I have I'm telling you that she has every right to say what she wants to say.
Secondly, Sartan se juda.
And we are not
Sartan se juda.
Is
that okay?
Me, Rahul, come on.
Is in your dictionary, should we go around chanting slogans like Sartan se juda?
Understanding of who you are talking to.
No, I'm only asking you. Take a position.
At the beginning, I am a free speech.
No. 1 second.
Everyone has a right to make a statement. Everyone is right to have
1 second. Let me just take a position. Jahangir Ali, do you think people should run around the streets saying things like Gustake Rasool ki ek hi saza, sartan se juda? Simple question.
I have no idea what you are talking about, honestly.
Okay.
But that proves the point. You are saying,
that proves the point.
Aapne
suna hi nahi.
You are saying or
aapne suna hi nahi. Chaliye. Anyhow. Anyhow, let me ask you, since you are a free speech absolutist, then tell me, democracy is dying 1,000 deaths today. Ashutosh ji, let me bring it. We've heard from a free speech absolutist who puts his hand on his heart and says, I believe in everything. When I ask him about a particular slogan and whether it should be chanted, he says, मैंने तो कभी सुना ही नहीं. ठीक है, you know, some people live in silos, and that's perfectly okay. Ashutosh ji, let me ask you a specific question. And I'm going to ask you a question, and I hope you take a position and you say that that was a blatant assault on democracy like it has never happened before. In 2012, 4,138 NGOs lost their FCRA licenses. Amnesty, I think, was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. So was the government silencing free speech then? Was the government, the UPA, that filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court using the term urban Naxals, also taking on those who were in dispute with the government and snatching their right by characterizing them as such to criticize the government? Simple question, Ashutosh ji.
Can I answer?
Yeah, of course.
I hope you remember the Manmohan Singh government was called a weak government. I hope you remember the Manmohan Singh government was accused of policy paralysis. You are trying to compare Modi government with the Manmohan Singh government, and you are trying to tell us that the Modi government is equally weak and equally scared of some kind of foreign conspiracy.
No, I'm not understanding the logic.
No.
Sanjay Jha said that this government...
Not fair.
No, but you're mangling my words. I never said that. I only asked you a simple question, Ashutosh ji.
I've just started.
Acha, theek. You were warming up. Okay, chaliye.
Yeah, just only 20 seconds.
Theek hai.
I think I should. Go. I'm not as privileged that Dr. Anand Ranganathan is. I'm not as articulate as Anand Ranganathan is. But we share the same campus. He belongs to JNU. I also belong to JNU. So we both are anti-nationals that way. That's the logic. That's the logic. How illogical is that? I do not know.
No,
fact of the matter is today.
Please listen to me. I got only 2.5 minutes. Sanjay got 11 minutes. Please don't.
Sanjay got only 3 minutes. I counted that.
Sanjay got 3 minutes? Okay, chalo, theek hai.
Let's not get into that.
Chalo,
even a broken watch tells the time correctly twice. तुम्हारी कौन सी घड़ी है?
Sanjay got a free run. Okay, chaliye, bataiye.
JNU की बनी हुई है.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is, we should stop calling ourselves. Mr. Modi should stop calling himself as a powerful prime minister.
Okay.
Should stop calling itself that India has ambitions to become a Vishwaguru. If you can't accept criticism and you find conspiracy everywhere, who is George Soros, for God's sake, yaar? India is that big that it is scared of George Soros. Who the hell is he? He was thrown out of Hungary. He was thrown out from everywhere. And you call him that he's anti-India, he hates India, then Ashutosh is also should be clubbed into that, because on a daily basis, I'm also called anti-India, I'm also called as a Modi hater, so you call me also that. The fact of the matter is, this government should have a democratic bone, and that democratic bone should be powerful enough to accept criticism and to ignore. Most of the time you should ignore such things. And the leaders who ignore, who learn to ignore, they graduate to become a statesman, not those who feel scared every minute here and there. And when the Khan Market gang and the JNU gang and the Tukde gang and Sar Tan Se Juda, if there is a Sar Tan Se Juda here, there's a one Raju Das who also is quoting Sar Tan Se Juda.
Okay.
But I'm scared today.
Okay, but I don't understand. कोई आदमी
endorse, and why this question should
अच्छा,
be asked
आशुतोष जी,
Jahangir Ali, not me.
आशुतोष जी,
ask the same question.
Okay, let me ask you the follow-up
Jahangir
question.
Ali will be asked this question, not Ashutosh.
Okay, let me ask
Please
you.
ask me that question also.
Okay, let me ask you, Ashutosh bhai, एक second. मेरी बात
I
तो
can't
सुन
hear
लीजिए.
you, Rahul.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so a simple question is this. Why are we making the leap towards, quashing free speech, dissent? फॉरेन फंड ही तो ब्लॉक हुए हैं सीपीआर के, हिंदुस्तानी देंगे, आप देंगे, संजय जी देंगे, कितने पैसे आएंगे उनको?
Why are you debating now? If that issue is not important enough, it's just a very minor issue. Rahul,
no, because people are making it about an assault on democracy. We are the youngest, most vibrant democracy. So I'm asking you, कि इंडियन पैसों से क्या डेमोक्रेसी खत्म हो जाएगी?
I'm dreading today that tomorrow or day after somebody will stand up and say Justice J.M. Joseph, he's also anti-national, because he said you're keeping the country on boil, are renaming things, and this government and the BJP and the RSS have been renaming. So he's also anti-national by that logic.
I don't understand this logic.
I don't know.
Only foreign funds have been blocked of CPR. No one has thrown anyone in jail. Now let me tell you, viewers, a parliamentary reply given in the Rajya Sabha by SS Palani Manikam in 2013 during UPA. He was the MOS home about actions taken against NGOs. He said government monitors the receipt and utilization of foreign contribution received by any person, including NGOs, in terms of FCRA and the rules framed thereunder. FCRA provides for NGOs to receive foreign funds after registration or prior permission. Bhai, they will get good Indian money. Mahindras will probably give money. Why not? They're very respectable company. Perhaps Tata's will, perhaps Times Now will. Why not? Take our money too. Kya problem hai? So, where is this? Are you saying that anyone who runs a media house or a think tank is above scrutiny? No sawal should be asked. Ashutosh ji, that's a very weird logic, isn't it?
No, I'm saying...
I would like to step in here.
I'm saying simple thing. You are a powerful Prime Minister. Mr. Modi is a powerful Prime Minister.
You can ask a question.
No, Rahul, it can't be two ways.
Okay.
Either this issue is not important.
Okay, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. I want to open this up to... Okay, fair enough.
That means this issue is important. That's why you're saying.
Okay, so Ashutosh is saying very clearly this is an assault on democracy. So in the interest of upholding democracy, we should ask no questions about where any money is coming from. Why do we even go after Malia? He was also getting foreign funds. Usko bhi chhod to diya tha. Yes, he got away. Sorry. Yeah, Dr. Ranganathan.
And पूछ रहा है राहुल जी,
which government
अडानी जी के बारे में तो बात ही नहीं हो रहा है, प्रधानमंत्री
चलो अडानी के बारे में भी बात कर देते हैं. He also gets foreign. Why should we investigate him? Why should a strong Prime Minister investigate Adani, for God's sakes? Going by Ashutosh's logic. Only weak Prime Ministers would do that. Anyhow, Dr. Ranganathan.
Anyway, Adani is not...
सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा तो वो है.
No.
Rahul, can I please?
Yes, please, Dr. Ranganathan. Let me open this up further. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan. I want to bring in Binoy Singh right after. Okay.
Remember both Adani and
Rahul, just a couple of points.
Yes.
Facing accusations of
Mr.
fraud.
Ali, please, I didn't interrupt you.
And in this case, there is no fraud. There is nothing like that.
You don't know. I don't know. No one knows.
You can't say that. You can't base your argument on conjecture, Rahul.
I'm not basing it on conjecture. I'm only putting out the facts.
How is Mr. Ali saying there is no fraud here?
One second. Jahangir Ali, one second. How do you know there is no fraud?
Yes.
How do you know? Are you specially qualified?
No, that is why I am telling
So
you
then-
that
then-
you are
then
basing your
relax.
argument on conjecture.
So no, there's no conjecture. One minute.
And Mr.
Jahangir Ali,
Malia
please.
both faced accusations of financial fraud.
Jahangir
In
Ali,
this
1
case,
second,
in case
please.
of CPR, we do not know what kind of accusations have been leveled against them.
They
What
themselves
are
have
they
said
involved
what
in? We
they
do
have
not know
said.
that.
They have, sir, issued a statement, a very detailed statement, where they have said that they were surveyed in September. They have been surveyed repeatedly, asked questions several times after that. So clearly there was some sort of an inquiry, and on the basis
Yes,
of that
sir.
inquiry, Jahangir Ali, please, 1 second, please. The centre has passed an order, and the very self-righteous CPR, very honest, has said that we are going to completely bear ourselves in all our glory and produce all our books which are in the domain out there, and we are not afraid of scrutiny, which is how it should be. Why has this become an attack and assault on democracy? I don't know. Anyhow, Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
Yes, very briefly, 2 points, Rahul. I hope I won't be interrupted here. Number one, as far as what Ashutosh is saying, I think he's completely derailed the debate, because I think उनको अभी पता चला डिबेट में कि सब्जेक्ट क्या है, वो प्रिपरेशन उनका कुछ और था. द क्वेश्चन इज नॉट वेदर मोदी इज एज वीक एज मनमोहन सिंह पर्सनली. Really, if you were to ask me, I would say he is actually as weak as Manmohan Singh, because the Hindus are being actively discriminated against constitutionally in Modi's India, and he's doing nothing. But that's another matter. The question is, did Ashutosh, who was in charge, and a prominent journalist back in... Rahul,
This is called
please.
schizophrenia, Anand.
Okay,
Ashutosh,
one
this
second.
is
Yeah, let him finish.
This
Yeah.
is very unfair.
Okay, finish.
I treat you to filter coffee and vadas in JNU, and still you interrupt me. Please don't do it.
You
So,
never treated me, Anand. Never treated.
Rahul, please. No, Ashutosh, please. 1 second. So, as I was saying, the question is not whether Modi is as weak as Manmohan Singh. The question is, why are people crying death of democracy now, when Ashutosh, you in 2012, as a journalist, as a responsible journalist, be that an oxymoron there concerning you, you were completely silent. You did not say there is death of democracy when Congress cancelled 4,000 licenses. You need to answer that as a journalist.
How do you know?
I did my research. I did my research. There is not a single tweet of yours. There is not a single program of yours crying death of democracy. I did my research. That is the problem. No, Rahul, I have been constantly interrupted. This is very unfair. I seem to have rattled. No, please.
You are blaming.
You bring out a program. I will challenge. I challenge you. You bring out a program decrying death of democracy in 2012 when Congress cancelled 4,000 licenses. You bring it out. Let me see it. Now, as far as number two, Rahul, please give me 30 seconds, because Ashutosh is completely... please, Rahul.
No, but
I need to
Ashutosh
say
ji
this
just
very
produce the facts. He is making an accusation about your hypocrisy. So just tell us.
I will not.
Instead of producing and reproducing rhetoric.
Okay, you must sue him then if he is lying. 1 second, doctor.
Rahul, please allow me. Please allow me. No, Ashutosh, please, this is very unfair.
Stop shouting over each other. Ashutosh ji, 1 second. Yeah, Dr. Ranganathan,
Please.
finish your point quickly. I need to open this up to others.
Yes, no, I have taken care of Ashutosh. Now to my good friend Sanjay Jha, whom I promise not to disagree with, because he has endorsed my book. But secondly, as far as him saying about Amartya Sen and challenging people on Amartya Sen, let me say him, I believe in science. My good friend Sanjay believes in Scientology, because he must read Churchill at War, a fantastic book by a scientist, Madhushri Mukherjee. She has demolished Amartya Sen. Demolished point by point, Sanjay. Have you read Churchill at War?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If a person has endorsed Sanjay Jha, then that's gospel, and he's entitled to his gospel. He can take it around and preach it. 1 minute, very quickly. Binoy, 1 second. Binoy Singh and Sushil Pandit haven't spoken. It's very unfortunate. I need to also move on to another. Very quickly, Binoy Singh. What is this happening here? Why should CPR's foreign funds be a problem?
Rahul, yesterday charity was a virtue. Today charity is a business. So when we talk about George Soros, a philanthropist, don't get fooled away. It's a camouflage. He's targeting India. And Congress must not get happy that he's anti-Modi. He's not anti-Modi, he's anti-India. And India is also not the only one who should be worried about. There are so many countries across the world, those who are facing challenges like Soros type challenges. and they have taken precautions, they have taken actions. And my friend in the panel just mentioned Hungary. The Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, who has a great mutual relationship with George Soros, and he passed a law to stop Soros. So he is a lesson we must learn, that the Prime Minister of Hungary, he chose the national interest over his personal preferences. So the Congress must not try to find a common minimum program between George Soros and themselves. He's not he's not a friend of yours, he's not an enemy of BJP, he's an enemy of this country.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Rahul, FCRA 2020, there was amendment because the old format of FCRA is not enough to handle with the things. So not only India, you come to Russia, there was a law passed, the Undesirable Organizations Law 2015. And the organizations, those who wind up their offices the very next day, it was Oxfam, Carnegie, Greenpeace, Amnesty and Open Society. So these are not the organizations, those who are creating a mess or those who are creating those who are pushing their agenda. It is not the only country. There are so many countries, and all the countries, they are taking actions according to themselves. So don't get fooled away. That
don't get fooled.
Sushil
Pandit.
Thank you for remembering me. I must tell you what this body has produced in gratitude for all the funding it received in the recent past, from funding from philanthropists like George Soros. There was an article which said how China outmaneuvered Modi's government and seized control of territory along the LAC, written by Sushant Singh. You must also hear another article. In defense of Indian secularism threatened, this was on CAA. Another one, corporate controlled capitalism in India against the farm laws. Now you must know, all these three issues have the capacity, and not just the demonstrated capacity, they did hold India to ransom. The farm agitation, the Shaheen Bagh agitation, and the issue of China on our LAC. This is how they are funding this subversion within the country. It is not without a quid pro quo. These articles are churned out, and I have a reasonable belief in return for this funding, which is not just confined to Soros. It is also coming from United Arab Emirates, supposedly through the Pakistani agents rerouting it from a different geography. So if there is such subversion happening as a result of funding from abroad, we have every reason to suppress it. It amounts to a reasonable restriction on freedom of speech, just as you cannot allow people to say fire in a people packed with auditorium.
I just want to say,
so
look,
you
certain people
have to have
certain journalists have been named. One second, by Mr. Pandit. I don't know. I don't want to underwrite any of that, viewers, whether they were writing under influence or not, or whose influence, I don't know. They are entitled to their point of view. It could very well be that they believe what they have written to be the gospel. They might have researched it well. I'm not in any way here castigating any individuals. This is not a program where we are maligning anyone's reputation. I just want to make that clear. So, Mr. Pandit, those are your views, not subscribed to by Times Now, not by this anchor, and I don't share that outlook. But I just want to make yes.
These are researched.
Okay, you research. That's one second. I need to move on because it's a very important story. But I just want to make one very quick point, viewers. You see, no one here has a right to think they're above scrutiny or above the law. That would be wrong. Then tomorrow you and I would say our freedom of speech and expression has been curtailed because we were asked to open our books to IT department, and you won't pay your taxes, and you'll start tweeting from today in advance against the Modi government and say, Dekhe ji, they came after me because I'm a dissenter. It doesn't work that way, viewers. If you've got a clean pair of heels, it'll be proven. I just want to quickly say that in the past, when the UPA filed 24 cases referred to the CBI, 10 cases given to the state police, 35 NGOs placed in prior permission category, accounts of 32 NGOs had been frozen, 72 NGOs had been prohibited from receiving foreign contribution, and registration of 4,138 NGOs had been cancelled. No one cried death of democracy. They say that that was a blunt instrument being used to thwart the foreign hand. Blunt only because, viewers, as you know, it continued. So obviously it was not very effective. That's what was said. That was the limit of the criticism. They had a problem with the instrument, not with the fact that it was applied. Think about that, viewers. I want to move on. I want to move on because Operation Mitti Mein Mila Denge is well and truly underway in Uttar Pradesh. Days after UP Chief Minister's thunderous announcement in the Assembly that his government will ensure that Mafia is demolished in the state, today bulldozers were seen in action at the houses of jail Mafia Atiq Ahmed and his aides, all under the scanner after sensational daylight murder of Umesh Pal. Umesh Pal, viewers, was killed in broad daylight, shot to death. Illegal properties belonging to two of the accused, Zafar Ahmed, who was allegedly a conspirator, and Guddu Muslim, man seen in the CCTV footage of the shootout hurling bombs, were demolished. Here's the walkthrough, viewers. Here's our report from the ground.
Well, this is the Kasari Masari area in Prayagraj city wherein we are standing right now, and this bulldozer action is taking place against an individual called Zafar Ahmed. Now, Zafar Ahmed is known to be very close to the Atiq Ahmed and his gang, and in fact his Atiq Ahmed's wife Shaista Parveen along with her sons was actually staying in this place, in this very house which is being pulled down right now after their original house in the Kareli area was actually pulled down by the government.
Now, viewers, this take no prisoner policy of Yogi government is very popular on the ground. But is it legal? The opposition slams it, calls it Thok Niti. It says this is extrajudicial punishment where due process is not being followed. The BJP says, well, if the mafia can go around shooting people, then we are going to deal with them with a strong hand, no prisoners taken approach. This is a new Uttar Pradesh and it's going to be cleaned up. Who's right, viewers? Let's open this up. Let me go straight across first to Vivek Silas, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Why do you believe that this is extra constitutional, sir?
Yes, very good evening to you, Mr. Shiv Shankar, you know, Mr. Shiv Shankar, yeah. Look, Mr. Shiv Shankar, law and order is a state subject, first of all. It's the government who is responsible for the law and order of any state, be it Uttar Pradesh or any state in India. But if criminals have done such an act, it's the responsibility of the state government to handle it because it's a state subject. Secondly, we have talked about Atiq Ahmed a lot these days. It's going on everywhere in every channel. Let me tell you one thing, and you are one of the most smartest and the versatile anchors I have come across since the last 5 years. Atiq Ahmed, you talk about the Samajwadi Party, right? Okay, talk. No, there's no problem about that. He was in Samajwadi Party, we don't deny from that. Atiq Ahmed was the state president of Apna Dal, and he had fought 2 elections from Apna Dal. The same Apna Dal, Anupriya Patel's party, which is in coalition with the center government, Mr. Modi's, she is a minister of state in Mr. Modi's cabinet, and her husband Ashish Patel is a cabinet minister in Yogi's government here in Lucknow. Yes. Why don't we talk about them first of all? Just because they belong, they are supporting the Bharatiya Janata Party, we should not talk about them. Atiq Ahmed was their state president. Secondly, you must be knowing, I remind you of 2018. Atiq Ahmed fought an independent candidate election in the Yogi government's, in the Yogi regime in 2018 from the Phulpur constituency. At that time, he was being supported by the Bharatiya Janata Party in Phulpur, and he managed to get about 59,000 votes. He fought against the Samajwadi Party. We don't deny that Atiq Ahmed was not in Samajwadi Party, but since 2004 and 5 when he left the party, that is 18 years ago, he left the Samajwadi Party. Till date, he has not been given any tickets. He asked the ticket in 2012 from the Samajwadi Party, but our national president at present, state president at that time, refused him the ticket. So only blaming the Samajwadi Party for Atiq Ahmed is not at all justified. He was a supporter of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the state head of the Apna Dal, who is a supporter, who is a coalition partner of BJP. We should say that. And where is Atiq Ahmed? At the moment, Rahul ji is relaxing in Ahmedabad. We cried a lot, the Bharatiya Janata Party cried a lot that Mukhtar Ansari is not coming down to Uttar Pradesh because the Punjab government, then the government, Congress is not letting him come, so they are shielding him, they are protecting him. What is the problem with Yogi ji? He should bring him as soon as
what's
possible.
the point you're making?
And the justice should be done immediately.
Immediately justice.
There's a very valid point that I'm going to ask the viewers and all the panelists. There are dozens of mafias in Purvanchal because Prayagraj comes in Purvanchal, so I'll just tell I'll just put out some names. Mr. Brijesh Singh, a man who has 106 cases and 57 cases are of brutal murder. He is roaming freely and he is supporting the Bharatiya Janata Party. Another man, Vineet Singh, MLC from the Bharatiya Janata Party from Mirzapur. He has bounty on his head. The criminals and the mafias are playing cricket in Purvanchal, but because they belong to a certain sect, no one has the guts to even question them.
Right.
Be it Ajay Singh Sipai, be it Uday Ban Singh,
so let me
be
bring
it
in
Sonu Singh, Monu Singh, Badshah Singh, Dhananjay Singh, and lot many of them.
Okay,
no one is bothered to even. You do whatever you want to do.
So तख्ता पलट गया है.
मत मिला दो, बिल्कुल ही खत्म कर दो.
तो तख्ता पलट गया है, इसीलिए गाड़ी भी पलट गई.
Same eye for everyone.
Okay, तो तख्ता पलट गया है, इसीलिए गाड़ी भी पलट रही है. If they had been with the BJP, they would have been okay. That's what you're saying. Okay, Vivek Cyrus, making a very important intervention. Let me bring in the BJP to respond to this. Sharad Trivedi, spokesperson of the BJP Uttar Pradesh. Two of your leaders have come out and said today कि गाड़ी Atiq Ahmed की पलट सकती है. And we know what happened when Vikas Dubey's car turned turtle. He ended up dead in an encounter. That's become a metaphor, Mr. Trivedi, for extrajudicial killing, for encounter killing. So, Sharad Trivedi ji, is that the policy now? Take no prisoners, throw the law book, koi bhi pakda, maar diya, khatam, finished.
Rahul, if we believed that we wouldn't have taken prisoners, then probably Atiq Ahmed, Mukhtar Ansari and Azam Khan wouldn't have been alive. The issue is that we got Uttar Pradesh in the dumps. Extreme measures had to be used. We had crime, we had corruption, we had riots, we had terrorism. Not one incident of terror has happened in last 6 years. Once they tried to do riots, because riot and terror is also crime. When they tried to attempt a riot, the message that they got from the state government, no other riot ever took place. Here we have been hunting these thugs and the rogues gallery that was created by Samajwadi Party, fostered by Samajwadi Party, and what has been said is
that your action is selective. Brijesh Singh, Vineet Singh are all people who are aligned with your party and nothing is happening to them. They are playing cricket, says Vivek Cyrus. So you're just being selective.
The target is actually the Honorable Chief Minister. If somebody has got a modicum of knowledge of Hindu religion, he should know that once a person becomes yogi, he does not have any caste. So please do not link him with the people of the similar caste that
is Brijesh Singh,
Vivek is targeting.
Is Vineet Singh one of your leaders? One second. Is Vineet Singh, sir, is Vineet Singh one of your leaders? Was this individual Atiq Ahmed part of the Apna Dal? Yes or no?
He may have been a part of Apna Dal. Apna Dal was supported BJP,
so
and we were supporting them. But who else was supporting them has nothing to do with us. Not once did we seek support of Mr. Atiq Ansari or Azam Khan, nor we gave any support to them. They are already where they belong.
No, so the point I'm not understanding. Are you saying that extreme measures... Now, one second. One second, Mr. Pathak, I'm not understanding this. Extreme measures... Mr. Trivedi, I'm not understanding this. Extreme measures, you're saying. Extreme measures needed to be taken. In other words, encounter killings are okay. Is that what you're saying? bulldozing people's homes, not following due
if somebody
process
is shooting at our bulldozing is part of the legal system. If anything illegal was constructed, the bulldozer will be used, and it is being used with the opposition ruled states also.
But it only happens.
The second thing is that we have had 1800 encounters in Uttar Pradesh. 179 criminals were killed. That is the reason why we are getting investments in Uttar Pradesh.
Dr. Ranganathan, good law and order
said that
good law and order comes with a no-nonsense approach. Very quickly. I have only 1 minute, please. Sorry.
No, Rahul, essentially there are three issues here. I'll try and sum it up. Number one, the facts, and I'll just be dealing with facts. The Supreme Court has not stopped the bulldozing. It has said there should be no illegal bulldozing. Number two, the issue is not Hindu-Muslim, as many Hindu properties have also been demolished. The bulldozing of Vikas Dubey's properties being just one example. Strange, isn't it? That all those outraging now were totally silent then. They didn't say Yogi was being communal and selective in demolishing Hindu properties. Yogi has thus far demolished thousands of illegal properties worth 2,750 crores in the last 4 years. Majority of them belong to Hindus. These demolitions are religional agnostic, but your eyes are not. Number three, finally, just 20 seconds. I have said it multiple times, and especially Rahul, after the Khargon stone throwing incident, that revenge bulldozing rioters' homes is, in my view, against natural justice, because even if you want to punish the rioter or the mafioso by demolishing his home, you are punishing also his family, wife and children who are innocent. You can't transfer guilt or culpability in a crime to a relative. That is against natural justice.
Well, viewers, the last word hasn't been said. Right now, Mr. Yogi is enjoying unprecedented popularity, and his approach is being endorsed at the ballot. Not that that's right. But we've got to also ensure that any action that is taken is within the bounds of the law, and questions will be asked if there is a perception that they're not. I'll leave it at this. The news are coming up.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं। उफ, वेरी वाइब्रेंट एंड पेपी येलो कलर। Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark gray, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा। जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स। वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है।
On the show tonight, viewers.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal defends Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain and has declared war against the BJP. He has announced a door-to-door campaign and says he will take the message to the people. Mukhtar Ansari gang's shooter Brijesh Sonkar was arrested with an illegal weapon, and the police is set to interrogate him in connection with the Prayagraj case. Rajasthan BJP MP Kirori Lal Meena says Pulwama martyrs have been betrayed and claims that widows of 5 Pulwama martyrs are yet to be compensated. The sarpanches of various villages from across Haryana staged protest against the government's e-tendering policy and were lathi charged during the protest. ED has summoned Kerala Chief Minister's additional private secretary in connection with the Life Mission housing project corruption case. DGCA has suspended the pilot who operated the New York-Delhi flight on which the accused S. Mishra allegedly urinated on a woman.
mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की। नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव। वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से। कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं। सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कार, सबसे पहले टाइम्स ड्राइव के बारे में आपसे बात करता हूं या अपील करता हूं। अभी तक अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को और सोशल मीडिया पर बाकी जो भी हैंडल्स हैं वहां पर टाइम्स ड्राइव के नाम से आप सर्च करें, उसे भी फॉलो करें। लेटेस्ट खबरें आपको मिलेंगी और timesdrive.in है हमारा वेबसाइट, वहां पर तो लेटेस्ट खबरों के अलावा डिस्काउंट्स और जो स्पाई पिक्स हैं, आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं, उन सब के बारे में खबरें मिलेंगी। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस स्टोरी। हम बात करते हैं BMW 3GL की। क्रांति संभव रिपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम द सेकंड रो ऑफ BMW 3GL। आमतौर पर ये वाला हिस्सा स्टोरी में बात।
Krishna. Ladies and gentlemen, in a big jolt to the ecosystem, the Union Home Ministry has suspended the FCRA license of the Delhi-based think tank Center for Policy Research for the next 180 days. The CPR has been actively funded by American billionaire George Soros via his NGO Namati. The man whose sinister anti-India agenda is well known. Now, this suspension of the FCRA license comes even as the CPR was under scrutiny of the government after income tax surveys in September 2022. The centre acted against the think tank following prima facie inputs on violation of foreign funding norms. The think tank maintains that it is fully compliant with the law. However, it's the ecosystem that smells a conspiracy.
सेंटर फॉर पॉलिसी रिसर्च आज से नहीं 1973 से पढ़ रहा था, आज की 1973 से ये चल रहा है और जिस समय आने पर वक्तन सरकार को एक सुझाव भी देते थे और सरकार उनको अमल भी करती थी। तो ये मैं समझता हूँ कि आज की जो सरकार ने जो फैसला किया है, तो मैं कहता हूँ ये एक और इनकी तरफ से कदम है हिंदुस्तान में, मैं कहूँगा पूरी इंडिया में डेमोक्रेसी सेटअप को एक और चोट है।
These days the center is using its agency for its own sinister purposes, and that also for the organization opposed to them. They raided using the income tax, and CBI they raided the BBC premises. So center has lost its credibility as to on what grounds it suspends the registration of FCRA and all.
This is really unfortunate what is happening today in the country. Attacking institution has become norm under BJP-led central government. BJP government is hell-bent to destroy various important institutions, structures in this country.
George Soros is a founding member of the NGO Namati, and Namati funds a Center for Policy Research, which is in turn headed by Yamini Iyer, the daughter of Congress leader Manishankar Iyer. Now, the open source agency had earlier listed how the billionaire had pledged $1 billion to bring down what he calls India's authoritarian regime. In 2020, I beg your pardon, while addressing the World Economic Forum in Davos, Soros said that Modi is creating a Hindu nationalist state. In February this year, Soros once again has targeted the Prime Minister and said that his government will be weakened by the woes of business tycoon Gautam Adani. Listen in.
It's a democracy, but its leader, Narendra Modi, is no Democrat. Inciting violence against Muslims was an important factor in his meteoric rise. India is a member of the Quad, which also includes Australia, the US, and Japan. But it buys a lot of Russian oil at a steep discount. Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament. This will significantly weaken Modi's stranglehold on India's federal government and open the door to push for much needed institutional reforms.
The BJP, however, has hit back, saying that anti-India forces will be punished. Listen in.
No one is above the law of the country. If you violate the law with impunity, there will be certain legal consequences that would follow. And you should not cry foul when you don't shy away from undertaking illegal activities to weaken our country. And action is taken and you cry foul. That is absolutely unacceptable. And legal action against such forces is imperative and will continue.
That brings me to the legitimate question that we're asking this evening. Is a crackdown on CPR, does that equal a massive jolt to anti-India quote-unquote forces?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
This is across to our guest. Joining us with us is Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate. Karan Verma, author, is with us. Rahul Ishwar, activist, joins us on the broadcast. But let me first and foremost go across to Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, who's the leader of the Congress party. And Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, simple question. We all know what George Soros has said and what his public position is vis-a-vis the Modi regime. Now, if the government prima facie says that there is a prima facie violation of FCRA norms, is that something that we should be doubting at the very outset? And is there reason to doubt it, in your view?
No, Madhav, let me first tell you, opposing Narendra Modi and his policies is not tantamount to opposing India. First rule of the debate tonight, it should be this. Because I, as a principled opposition party's member, I will always continue to oppose Modi's policies which are detrimental to the growth and the unity of India as a whole. Now, coming back to your important point out here, you must understand that this FCRA rule was framed during Congress regime by Indira Gandhi. It was remodified during Manmohan Singh's regime in 2010 or 11. So what was the basic purpose of this? You know, the first instance where FCRA has in fact protected India from the foreign hand that we always used to say was the nuclear plant in Tamil Nadu, wherein our ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Ji even said.
So, Mr. Chaudhary, this is very interesting, because if there was a foreign hand active in 2012, who's to say that there is no foreign hand or no foreign vested interest active today? You have actually put forth an argument that I expected Ishkaran or Karan Verma to raise today.
Now, Madhav, there is nothing to be laughing about it, because
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying that it is interesting that you mentioned that there was a foreign hand in 2012 with a certain vested interest, and granted, that's a matter of public record. So I am just saying that if that is the yardstick that was used by the then regime to justify the FCRA crackdown or bring in norms or try and restrict violations, etc., which are inimical to the national interest, and the government then had every right to do so. In the same vein, does this government not have the similar right to do the same, Mr. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, in protecting the national interest?
Of course, the law is there, because we only changed it in 2012 and changed the basic character of the law to be in protecting the nation's interest. That was the major change that happened in the law. Now, why do I say there has been a paradigm shift in 2014 to 2023? What happened between this period? So to put it in proper perspective, 6,600 NGOs have lost their FCRA license since Narendra Modi came to power. In 2015 alone, the Home Ministry cancelled the license of around 10,000 organization. The earlier figure which I said of 6,600 was of the last 3 years. Now, what was the main allegations against these NGOs whose FCRA license were revoked by the Modi government? They were in fact involved in anti-national activities. And what is the definition of those anti-national activities? They were involved in conversion. It seems they were not involved in any anti-national activities, but they were involved. Even you have got instances of the Sabrang Trust, Greenpeace India.
Okay, you made your point. You made your point. Several hands going up who want to counter you on that. I'm going to allow Ishkaran to come in first, and then Rahul, Ishwar, and others can come in on this debate. Yes, Ishkaran.
I appreciate this by Mr. Kamruzaman, because it's very rarely that a Congress owns up to what it does, and it's very nice that he's being honest that they changed the law because there is a constant foreign interference in India, and that's a matter of record because foreign powers are not very happy with India functioning as a democracy and claiming its spot in the world. Not only those, what about protests against manufacturing units? What about protests against Narmada Dam? What about protests against so many industries that are being set up that has been proved to be funded by vested interests which do not want India to industrialize? So it is not only conversion, as he conveniently says, it is, which is also in itself a big thing, but it is also to stop India's industrial progress. It is to stop India by funding environmental concerns. And one example I will give you, Char Dham road widening for military purposes, that was objected to by a vested lobby. I do not know the money trail of that lobby. So there is a past history from military affairs to industries of interference. But let us come to what has happened now. Not only now, in 2016, Open Society Foundation of George Soros was put under watch list by the Home Ministry. That means it could not send funds without prior permission. They challenged it in High Court. They have not received any victory there or no relief there. Secondly, the FCRA amendments, which made the norms more stringent. Just one example, your administrative expenses, under which you are paying off many people, they have been capped. So you cannot have administrative expenses which are limitless. So that has happened. That was challenged in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said this: there is no fundamental right to receive foreign funding.
Absolutely.
Period. Topic over. Once they have no fundamental right and they have to comply with the laws of India and they have to do activities in interest of India, they cannot receive it. And every country, last line, every country including US has laws preventing foreign funding or interference in their electoral processes or in their national processes.
Absolutely, and it's banned in India as well. As far as the political process is concerned, foreign funding is completely banned, it's completely illegal. But the larger question is where and to what extent we draw the lines. And let me bring in Suman C. Raman on this. Sarah Shahalim also joins us on the debate, and we have others as well. Suman C. Raman, a simple question is this, and this is where we started off from. If the Congress and the Congress government in its wisdom may have very good reasons to do so in 2012 and previously as well, as Zaman Chowdhury told us, it was during the Indira Gandhi regime that the entire law, the basic structure of it was put in place. Now, if that is indeed the case, why is this government then being castigated for implementing the same law, or at least acting against those interests which it thinks would be against the interest of India?
Yeah, Madhav, before I come to this particular thing, since we mentioned foreign funding, I must tell the viewers a little story about how foreign funding is okay if you are a political party, and how parties, including both the Congress and the BJP, accepted foreign funds. They were caught, and once the matter went to court, when the court actually censured them, they went to Parliament and passed a law authorizing the receipt of foreign funds with retrospective effect for 20 years. Are you aware of it, Madhav? Both Congress and BJP joined together and did that. So these rules are all meant to be applied selectively. The point as far as this CPR is concerned is clearly that they have been increasingly critical of the government, particularly the columns of Yamini Iyer, who is the daughter of Manishankar Iyer of the Congress party. So I think that probably irked the government, and they decided to crack down. If you see, a few hours ago, they have put out a statement, the organization has put out a statement saying they are fully compliant with the laws, their balance sheets are audited, they have not violated anything and any of the due processes or law. So I don't know where this is heading, because they have very clearly said that they are not they are not guilty. That's the sum total of their statement.
Right.
But clearly, it's another worrying sign where the because of their particularly over the last 2-3 years. In fact, some of her columns on the farm law, the way the government.
No, I got your point. You're saying it's dissent that's being silenced. You're saying dissent is being crushed, and that's a relevant point. I'm going to take that question across to Karan Verma. Karan Verma, in context of the political parties coming out to say that critical voices are being crushed out, are being stamped out, that dissent is being crushed in India. Doesn't that make it all the more incumbent on the government to come out and spell out where the law of FCRA has been violated? Because all we have at the moment, from what I understand and what I gather, are prima facie that there has been a violation of the FCRA law. Where the violation is, we are none the wiser 5 months after the raids have taken place.
You know, they say dissent is being crushed, and they forget, according to them, dissent was not being crushed, Madhav. In 2012, when the Congress party, the then Congress party, banned the FCRA license of 4,132 NGOs in 1 year, that time, no dissent was being crushed. It was a paragon of democracy back then. So this is their hypocrisy. Their hypocrisy is out in the open when they say democracy is being crushed and we have a fascist state. Truth of the matter is, as Mr. Kamruzaman rightly pointed out, even back then during the Congress's time, there were NGOs which were receiving foreign donations, and he rightly pointed out the Tamil Nadu nuclear power project. They wanted to derail that project. Citizens for Green Dune, they wanted to derail the broadening of the expressway of the Char Dham, which was a very strategic one because it helped in the ammunition and the patrolling troops reaching that crucial point in the border against China. There was a report in 2014 IB report, just when Prime Minister had...
One at a time. Nobody interrupted you, sir. Let him make his point. I'm coming to you. I'll come to you after everyone gets a turn. I'll come to you. Yeah.
There was a loss of 3% GDP due to these NGOs stalling development projects. Madhav, the fact is, these foreign funded NGOs are the invisible enemy if they have an anti-India narrative at its core. We can't turn a blind eye to that. George Soros has made no bones about it, that he is anti-India in the sense he wants to topple governments. We saw what he did in the Arab Spring. We can't be sitting ducks to this sort of nefarious design. The government, the Ministry of Home Affairs, is well within its right to check if you are not following the FCRA guidelines. They have every right to withdraw it. They have not banned the NGO. They have a right to recourse in the court, and it is very much within the purview. And any country which is on the path of development, look at the kind of reports the Center for Policy Research has put out time and again.
Okay.
I mean, you need to be blind to see that they are not anti-India. They cast aspersions on our homegrown vaccines. They said India is doomed in the economy after COVID. Look what happened. They said Mr. Modi has lost its charm. India is not safe for Dalits and Muslims. Don't you think this is an anti-narrative being peddled when our country is making gigantic steps in the path to progress where the world is reaching?
Well, Karan, I will only qualify it by saying that what is anti-India and what is anti the powers that be. I think there has to be some kind of a balance when we look at that. But I just want to take up from the point that you made as far as the Arab Spring is concerned. I want to bring in Sarah Shah Halim. Okay, Sumant wants to respond to you. Very quickly, Sumant, please, quick response.
Madhav, are these gentlemen even aware who are the major foreign donors for CPR? Please ask them to name the donors. I'll tell you, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Bank, Ford Foundation, these are the major donors. They work, the CPR works very closely with governments, with multiple state governments. They are working with the government of Tamil Nadu, they are working with state governments, they are working with government departments. So I am not occupying. Are you aware?
Ford
you are aware
Foundation
that
has a dubious
Bill
past.
and Melinda Gates Foundation is anti-India.
No,
1 second. Bill and Melinda, World Bank.
No, so we are not picking out on. We are not signaling. We are not picking up on Bill and Melinda Gates. We are talking about Open Society Foundation. Mr. Suman Siraman, we are talking about Open Society Foundation. Are you aware that they are banned in so many other countries?
Russia included.
Are you aware they are the biggest
Are you aware of the nefarious designs of Open Society Foundation?
Let's. I think there are 2 points. One second. I don't want a shouting match. I think Karan Verma and Suvansi Raman, calm down. I'm going to allow both the points of view. 1 second, please. 1 second, please, Suvansi Raman. You've made a point. I'm going to allow Karan a chance to rebut that. Karan, a simple question coming in, and the point that you made of foreign countries and the havoc that has been wreaked by George Soros, I will be putting across to other panelists. But I think he makes an important point. Look at the fact you are referring to reports that have been prepared by CPR, and you may be right. You are completely entitled to your point of view. But I'm just going to read out some of the donors, not just the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but also Brown University, the Ford Foundation, the Korea Foundation, several countries and their foundations apart from Namati. There are also the government of Andhra Pradesh, the government of the ICMR itself, the ICSSR, the Ministry of External Affairs, and several others, including the Meghalaya government, the Ministry of Environment and Forest. The list of governmental departments itself is wrong. So my point is, Karan, if the reports that are being prepared in this organization are completely colored, why is the government then funding them, or government departments funding them? That is mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is, but let's understand this. I am not casting aspersions on any of the donors except for one. Open Society Foundation and Ford Foundation, for that matter. The fact is, one dubious donor is too many. If you are violating one norm, even if you have honest donors to a cause, that doesn't make you squeaky clean, does it? I mean, there are FCRA guidelines that they have violated, allegedly violated. So let them come clean in the court. Okay. Let them open their income tax sheets.
And we can't debate that without the government coming clean on what those exact violations are. I'm sure they'll come to light soon. But let me take that question across to other panelists who've not yet gotten a turn. Sarah Shahli, it's not just about the Arab Spring that Karan Verma mentioned. We know what has happened in Malaysia, what has happened in Thailand, what has happened more recently in Hungary, and what was said by Russia in 2015, where there's incidentally a communist government where Soros was termed a security threat. So prima facie, if the government says that there is a FCRA violation, can we give, or let off Soros's organizations, whether it's Namati or open source, can we just give them a free run or the benefit of doubt on that point of view?
See, I'll be very clear, Madhav, that if you're talking about information warfare changing destinies of countries, I don't think any foreign power has that kind of bandwidth where they can interfere in the political affairs of a country, A. Now, secondly, whether it is human rights or whether they're think tanks or whether they're policy research organizations, we have seen in the last 3-4 years, there has been an atmosphere of harassment, intimidation, interference, and consistent surveillance, which led organizations like Amnesty to pack up. Now tell me that, is this going to be the narrative? Is this going to be a pattern where we see that organizations that do research work, that are centers for policies, that are centers for human rights, they start closing shop because the government is so intimidated by them? We've seen how journalists, when they were covering COVID-19, they were being harassed, they were being shadowed, they were, being punished for doing their job. Now, just because a journalist or an organization is critical of the government doesn't mean that he or she is anti-India. Because you talking about George Soros, I would say that he is a philanthropist, he's a political activist who keeps an interest in geopolitics, not only in India, but across the world. So I think his meddling with the Arab Spring is a little far-fetched because every country defines their own political narrative. And no foreign power, be it US, be it UK, be it Turkey, be it any other country, can define what a country's political stand or future should be. So I'm making it very clear. Because here we are seeing that we are seeing a complete throttling of democracy. Organizations are being harassed. They are being made to shut shop. So where are we heading? Are we going to keep running a narrative?
Sarah Shahlim, your points you can put across, but I just want to quickly read out. You said that there cannot be any influence. I just want to read out what the then Prime Minister of Hungary said in 2018 when the Soros Foundation decided to leave Hungary amidst a government crackdown. The Prime Minister said they don't want the public to know exactly what they are engaged in. In 2015, Russia also banned Soros Foundation, terming it a security threat. In September 1997, Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad charged that Soros aimed to stop the fast-growing region in its tracks as a Malaysian country which saw a massive drop in growth. Thailand crisis in 1997 was also blamed by many on Mr. Soros. So it is not that an individual like Mr. Soros, who broke the Bank of England, cannot wreak economic havoc, Sarah Shah Halim, and that in turn can fuel dissent, it can fuel protest. There are multiple ways in which these things work. It's not just influencing, public and thought leaders.
Tell me something, the monetary scams, the financial scams, is that a figment of imagination as far as George Soros is concerned, or do you think he's actually asking very relevant and hard-hitting questions on the Adani deal with the present regime? The people, the investors need to know where the money went, how the rules are flouted. So I don't think he is incorrect there, because if the government feels that there is a need for transparency, they would answer the journalists, and I think journalists' voices would not be throttled. They would not be just praising the government. So I don't think he is wrong in a manner, because he's simply asking about the whole huge financial scam. The Hindenburg report has very, very clearly stated how these financial scams.
Let me bring in Rahul. Rahul, I see many hands going up. Ishram, I'm coming to you. I'm going to give Rahul a chance to come in now. Rahul, what the questions being raised over here by Mr. Soros are very pertinent in the context of India. Quick response to Sarah Shah Halim, please. Rahul Ishwar.
Yeah, Madhavji, 2 points. Being anti-Modi doesn't mean anti-India. Being anti-BJP doesn't mean anti-Bharat. But at the same point of time, NGO activism is used as a disguise and a cover by many forces to intervene and meddle with our internal affairs. That should not be encouraged. We had a very soft-spoken scholar PM, Manmohan Singh ji, who went to the strong extent of saying US NGOs are behind Kudankulam and they don't appreciate our energy needs. So even a Prime Minister as scholarly as and soft-spoken as PM Manmohan Singh ji has spoken about it. So let us not fool ourselves. There are some international powers, out of their own vested interest and nefarious interest, who want to meddle with our affairs, and we should be guarded against it. And all the rules are already there, so they should be compliant towards this. And nobody should cry foul saying that they are being persecuted. Every nation will follow their own laws. Nobody is asking, a law like 2018 stop Soros law in Hungary. At the same point of time, due diligence should be there, transparency should be there, and why these NGOs are working, what are their areas, are they used for political activism? These are things that everyone should know. In the guise of policy research, if they are carrying out political activism, that needs to be called out. So transparency of the laws, compliance with the laws, these things are important. Why are they reluctant to comply? And if they are coming clean, they can come clean in the court too. So there is no point of crying any kind of a persecution. Rather, they should be complying with these laws, and we should, beyond left or right, be guarded against foreign powers intervening and interfering with our own internal affairs. Because at the end of the day, we are Indians, and some foreigners should not be allowed to intervene in our process.
All right, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, I'm going to give you a chance to rebut that.
Rahul Bhai has rightly pointed out that they should not be interfering in the country's internal affairs. No doubt about it, Rahul Bhai. But the point and the context with which the India government is acting, they have attacked the think tanks of the country already. We have got instances wherein people who were opposed to the Modi's or the RSS's think tank have been either jailed or booked, or income tax raids have happened on them and their organizations. But this is a perception that has been building around the world, that Modi government is in fact trying to throttle those voices which are trying to imbibe a free speech environment within India and its educational institution. Now, a small example: 6,600 NGOs have been banned over the last 3 years by Modi government. And do you know, you will be astounded by the figure, the 69%, almost 70% of them, of these NGOs, were involved with educational institutions in India. Modi government and his RSS think tank are directly attacking the educational institution, the thought process of India, where reasoning is very paramount. That is where they are going to attack.
Education and thought process is being impacted, Ishkaran Bhandari, and therefore this is a political targeting. Once again, we come back to the same point, that dissent is being cracked down upon.
Foreign powers cannot shape the narrative in any democracy. That is either willful ignorance of fact or complete lack of knowledge. Let us deal with US now first, right? US Homeland Security Act defines actions by foreign government or actors designed to sow discord, manipulate public discourse, discredit the electoral system, bias the development of policy, or disrupt the markets for purpose of undermining the interest of the United States are called foreign interference. US knows what is foreign interference, which is probably the strongest country in the world right now, and interference by sowing discord in public discourse. So let us first be clear on facts that it can happen. Now, is it happening?
And we call it Ishtaran Bhai, and we call ourselves the mother of democracy.
You start.
We call ourselves the mother of democracy. We should have been leading.
Let him make his point. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, you got your turn to speak, sir. You got your turn to speak. Let others come in. Let's have a civilized debate, please. Let's have a civilized debate. We have a good 10 minutes left. Ishkaran.
Yes. Madhav, I had to say that because absolute incredulous arguments will be made that published discourse cannot be hampered or tampered from foreign forces in India. That is not the history of the world. That is not the history of any country which is democratic. Secondly, democracy, there are people who exploit democracy, especially communists, against the interests of the nation because they have multiple platforms, unlike in communist countries. So that is the second aspect, and that needs funding. As one example given by Rahul Ishwar, and multiple other examples of India's industrial growth being hampered by foreign funded NGOs. And lastly, we have the law of the land, and the law is very clear. There is no fundamental right to foreign funds unless you are in compliance with all the norms. And if you believe the government action is wrong, you can always go to courts and seek recourse. So the government action has to be done in all foreign funding which is against the interests of Bharat, period.
All right. I want Suman Raman to comment to that. Suman Raman, very important point being made there by Ishkaran. He says that everyone has to follow the law. One has to follow whatever tax laws are there. Similarly, FCRA laws are there for a reason. And therefore, it's not an automatic right or a fundamental right to get foreign funding. So, if there is some kind of violation on part or high-handedness on part of the government, there is the recourse to the law.
Madhav, I think that there is a complete lack of understanding of what the CPR actually does. First of all, the CPR actually has people from across the political spectrum. It is not a pure play a leftist organization which may appear to be intimidating the government or whatever.
Absolutely. There are diplomats, civil servants, Indian Army members, journalists, other leading researchers as well. I'll give it, I concede that. That's a very relevant point.
Political spectrum.
Yes.
So at the second point, very important. The kind of work that CPR does is not, like an NGO which is doing conversion. They are hired or they are engaged by government agencies to carry out studies in areas of sanitation, in areas of housing, in areas of healthcare, and in various other aspects. They have on board economists, they have on board social scientists. I mean, this is the mind boggles as to what logic is there in saying foreigners cannot control India in this situation. These are Indians. They are not foreigners. CPR is run by Indians. It is the board is made up almost entirely of Indians. So I'm not clear where this foreigners are controlling India comes from, unless you're calling the very distinguished board of CPR as anti-Indian, which is an absolute shocker. So I think unfortunately people don't seem to have understood much about what the Center for Policy Research is or does and who are the people who are there. And I think this is probably a knee-jerk reaction to Yamini Iyer's critical articles against the government.
Okay.
And they have, the
Rahul
organization
Ishwar,
has stuck
Rahul
to
Ishwar, you're raising questions about the credible faces across the board, across the political spectrum that are there in CPR, says Suman Raman. And how can one organization, it may be tainted for all you know, but how can they then just influence all these people who are very much Indian and have held very responsible positions here in India in the past, including in the government? Rahul Ishwar, question for you.
Yeah, just two submissions. Sumansa was saying they are comprised of Indians. With due respect, where does the fund and interest comes from is also a very important question. Nobody wants to defame or discredit serious people who want to work for the others. But at the same point of time, the source of funding, what are the funds used for? Such rich economic capital, what are they going to intend? What are their interests? So these are the things that anybody should consider. Yes, NGOs have done some good work, but at the same point of time, NGO activism has been a guise, a mask, for interfering in the political climate of a nation, and that is illegal as per every country in the world. No country in the world will tolerate such kind of a political interference. So studies, education, research are all good. At the same point of time, when they are misused in particular framework, naturally reaction will happen. And again, as Ishkaranji rightly pointed out, they should comply with all the laws. That's a legal necessity and they have to do. Even the agency is saying, CPR is saying that they are complying with all the rules. Let them come clean in court. That is the right recourse that anybody in a democratic nation can take.
Okay, Sumansi Raman, I think you can respond to that, because he says that funding probably comes with some kind of a bias or some kind of an agenda, and who's to say it doesn't happen? Because nobody is questioning the credibility of the individuals involved, but those who fund, if they have a particular agenda, there could be that bias that comes with the fund, says Rahul Ishwar. Please respond to him.
By the same yardstick, the pharma industry must stop doing clinical trials, because after all, the pharma industry is funding a trial, you know that they will want the results to go in a particular way. This is a ridiculous argument that somebody is funding a research study on finding out the status of sanitation in a particular area. Now he or she would want a result in a particular way is something that basically applies to all research done anywhere in the world, or studies commissioned anywhere in the world on any subject. Nobody can commission a study, because whoever commissions that study will have a vested interest in funding it. That's a ridiculous argument. My point is very simple, Madhav. This is an organization that has existed since the 1970s, right? It has never had any significant major run-ins with governments, whether it is Congress governments or whether it is BJP governments or non-Congress governments at the center. It has comprised of very eminent persons, all of them Indians, who have over the course of 30 to 40 years given that organization a kind of a stature. And yes, those organizations, the organization may have people with a leftist mindset, it may have people with a rightist mindset, it may have people across the ideological spectrum. Now the point is, this action clearly, unless the government comes out and says these are the transactions where they have violated the FCRA and gives a clear-cut understanding so that people can understand and get a response, because clearly the organization says we have not violated the law.
Well, Sumansi Raman, I want to bring you in one second. I want to quickly bring you in on a few facts, and Karan Verma can come in on this. Just a few facts that I want to read out, and you can come in on this in a few moments. In 2022, an organization called VDEM Institute released a ranking that placed Pakistan and Taliban-ruled Afghanistan above India in the Academic Freedom Index. The institute's website lists Open Society of Soros Foundation as the funders of the research initiative. The NGO that, and in fact, Freedom House in 2019, which downgraded India from free to partly free, has listed Open Society Foundation as one of its donor parties. There are several, including those who are part of the Pegasus project, who are also beneficiaries of the OSF. Therefore, I just want to ask Karan Verma a simple question to counter what was being said over here. Is it possible, Karan Verma, that these organizations which list Open Source Foundation as one of their donors, at some level or the other, this bias could have worked on those organizations? Sumansi Raman says that is ridiculous because everybody can fund research in today's day and age. It's a democratic right, perhaps.
Madhav, let's not be naive. When Sumansi Raman says that they are all made up of Indians, how can Indians be? Of course, there are certain Indians who've been anti-nationals. It was an Indian, Mani Shankar Iyer, who talked about restoration of Article 370. It was an Indian, a Home Minister, Sushil Kumar Shinde, who talked of Hindu terrorism, who gave terrorism a label. So, of course, there will be some Trojan horses in our country who will be funded by foreign powers which have a clear narrative to break India. Of course, they'll be on their payrolls and do something which is inimical to our aspirations and our hopes. Let's not be naive about it. Of course, when someone says India is 94th on the World Hunger Index and Sri Lanka and Pakistan are above us, whereas we are donating them food grains, of course they have a certain agenda. When they say India is not safe for Muslims and Dalits and they are being persecuted even though they are much better in so many other countries, of course there's a narrative behind it. So this entire bogus that, oh, it's made up of Indians, eminent Indians, these eminent Indians can of course compromise. That is what we call Trojan horses. That is what you call deep state in American language. So let's not be naive to the invisible enemy within.
Okay. Quick response from Suman.
The list of anti-Indians. No. I mean, I've got the list of people whom Karan Verma feels are anti-Indians. So maybe, it may be a good idea to read out the list of those who are on the board, the governing board of CPR. Apart from Yamini Iyer, Subodh Bhargava, former chairman of Tata Communications, Shyam Saran, former foreign secretary, Rama Bijapurkar, very well-known management consultant, Vinita Bali, of course, a very, very well-known, she was a former CEO. Now, all of them, Shyam Diwan, senior advocate, Supreme Court of India, all of them are being called anti-national by these gentlemen. So, I mean,
okay, all right. Let's not get into the specifics. Of course, we don't know what the case exactly has. We don't know what exactly is the exact nature of the charges.
All Indians are nationals.
Okay, let's leave it there. Of course, very sharp divisions, and one can understand so. CPR, of course, is a very, very prominent think tank. There's no two ways about it. Several prominent Indians who've been part of it. Several of those who hold responsible positions and have held responsible positions even in government have been part of the CPR. There's no two ways about why this is an extremely controversial move. Of course, if the government throws light on what exactly is the nature of those violations, perhaps we'll have a better understanding as to how correct or how justified this particular action was. We'll have to leave it there for the moment, gentlemen. Ishkaran Bhandari and Kamruzaman Chaudhary continue with us for the next debate. Karan Verma, Rahul Ishwar, Suman C. Raman and Sarah Shahili, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us. Moving on to the second debate, ladies and gentlemen, after UP Chief Minister Yogi roared in the assembly saying that the mafia in the state will be razed to the ground, Mitti mein mila denge is what he said. The UP government today bulldozed the houses of Jade Mafia, Atiq Ahmed and his aides. The Yogi Sarkar demolished the illegal properties of Zafar Ahmed and Guddu Muslim today. These men are accused of conspiracy in killing Umesh Pal, who was a prime witness in the 2005 Raju Pal murder case. Umesh Pal was shot right outside his house in Prayagraj, and the UP Chief Minister had vowed that this won't be tolerated under his watch. Take a look at what happened today.
Well, this is the Kasari Masari area in Prayagraj city wherein we are standing right now, and this bulldozer action is taking place against an individual called Zafar Ahmed. Now, Zafar Ahmed is known to be very close to the Atiq Ahmed and his gang, and in fact his Atiq Ahmed's wife Shaista Parveen along with her sons was actually staying in this place, in this very house which is being pulled down right now after their original house in the Kareli area was actually pulled down by the government.
The accused in the Umesh Pal murder case have been seen with Samajwadi Party leaders. Chief Minister Yogi said that no one in Uttar Pradesh can run away from the truth.
जिस कर्ता की फोटो वायरल हो रही थी कल, और कोई उससे भाग नहीं सकता. लोग कहें कि साहब सोशल मीडिया का जमाना है, लोग कुछ कर लेंगे. अरे हाथ मिला रहे हैं, पीछे आपकी पार्टी का सिंबल लगा हुआ है, और तब भी आप उससे मुंह मोड़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
All right, let's take this across to our guests. Ishwaran Bhandari and Kamruzaman Chaudhary continue to be with us, but joining us at the moment is Dr. Kaushal Kant Mishra, spokesperson of the UP BJP. But with us here in our studios, national spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Anurag Bhadoria. Anurag Bhadoria, Chief Minister का जो बयान था आपने सुना, उन्होंने कहा कि पिक्चर्स हैं, आप कह सकते हैं सोशल मीडिया का जमाना है, लेकिन आपके पार्टी का फोटो है पीछे, सिंबल है पीछे, पार्टी के आला नेता अखिलेश यादव जी के साथ सिंबल है, और आप कैसे ऐसे इस स्थिति में पल्ला झाड़ सकते हैं?
देखिए, कमाल की बात है, इनके भारतीय जनता पार्टी के विधायक हैं उदयबान कांवरिया जी, उनके साथ फोटो है उसकी, और उसके साथ फोटो नहीं है, उसके साथ आराम से बैठे फोटो है, जैसे किसी घर में बैठे हैं, गुफ्तगू हो रही है, आपस में बातें हो रही हैं कि आप कैसे हो, हम कैसे हैं, उस तरह की बातें वो फोटो से पता चलता है. एक फोटो जो इन्होंने दिखाई है वो चूंकि समाजवादी पार्टी कार्यालय में वो खड़े होते हैं, आते हैं कार्यकर्ता, उसी के बीच में कोई भी आके फोटो खिंचा के चला जाता है. आप कम्युनिकेशन दिखाइए ना. सवाल ये नहीं है, सवाल ये है कि उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार में जिस तरह से बम चल रहे हैं, बम होते हैं ना, बमबाजी हो रही है, गोली चल रही है, बम से पेट नहीं भरा तो वहां पे अपराधी जो हैं, जो गुंडे गोली भी चला रहे हैं, आखिर उनके पास इतनी हिम्मत कहां से आती है? जवाब तो आपको देना है.
अनुराग जी, लेकिन अतीक अहमद के लिए भी आप यही कहेंगे, कौन सी पार्टी में थे सब जानते हैं, आपके पार्टी के टॉप नेताओं के साथ अतीक अहमद के फोटोज हैं, इनके दो साथ में से दो अक्यूज्ड के डायरेक्ट लिंक्स है कि अतीक अहमद के साथ. क्या इन सबको आप डिनाई करेंगे?
नहीं, मैं तो आपसे कह रहा हूं जो भी अपराधी होगा उस पर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, लेकिन पलट के सवाल मैं पूछ दूंगा कि लखीमपुर का जो सांसद है उसको तो आपने मंत्री बना दिया है, उसके ऊपर मुकदमे, उसके बेटे ने तो 4 लोगों को रोक दिया। लेकिन मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं, मैं सिर्फ इतना कहता हूं कि उत्तर प्रदेश में अपराधियों की हिम्मत कैसे हो रही है, कानून व्यवस्था कहां है। पुलिस वाले को गोली, पुलिस वाला माने सिक्योरिटी में, अगर मेरे साथ कोई सिक्योरिटी लगा दी जाए तो हम तो कम से कम अपने आप को सुरक्षित महसूस करेंगे, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी पुलिस वालों को भी अपराधी गोली मार दे रहे हैं। तो भाई इसके मतलब कहीं ना कहीं ये डर खत्म हुआ है, खौफ खत्म हुआ है। तो अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भारतीय जनता पार्टी इसलिए नहीं भाग सकती कि ये बात करके पिछले ऐसा
डॉक्टर कौशलकांत मिश्रा
हुआ था।
ओके,
अपनी जिम्मेदारी लीजिए।
आपने सवाल पूछे, अब
सरकार
लेट बीजेपी रिस्पॉन्ड नाउ। डॉक्टर कौशलकांत मिश्रा।
माधवन, मैं कुछ डेटा बताना चाहूंगा मेरे मित्र को। मायावती जब थी तो उस समय 400 से ज्यादा दंगे हुए थे। उसके बाद जब सीएम अखिलेश जी आए तो टोटल उत्तर प्रदेश की आपराधिक घटनाओं में करीब 16% का अपराध बढ़ा। और आज का डेटा यह कहता है कि जब से योगी जी की सरकार चली तब से 11% का डेटा में कमी आई है। ये जो भी कहें, बात यह है कि अतीक अहमद जैसे गुंडे और जो गैंगस्टर था उसको समाजवादी पार्टी ने टिकट दिया, उनकी टिकट पे वो लड़ा और उनको संरक्षण देना, यही समाजवादी का काम है। और समाजवादियों के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने नहीं, इनके अपने सहयोगियों ने ही बोला था, जिस गाड़ी पे लगा हो सपा का झंडा उसके अंदर बैठा गुंडा। और उसके बहुत पहले मायावती जी नारा लगाती थी, चढ़ गुंडों की छाती पर मुहर लगेगी हाथी पर। तो जो गुंडागर्दी का साम्राज्य सपा ने मचा रखा था उसको पूरी तरह से नस्ते नाबूद किया जा रहा है। इसलिए समाजवादी पार्टी को किसी भी अपराधी के ऊपर कोई कार्रवाई होती है तो उसमें बड़ा दर्द हो रहा है। क्यों? क्योंकि इन्होंने जिस तरह से गुंडागर्दी से साम्राज्य स्थापित किया था वो सब खत्म हो रहा है। और ये गुंडागर्दी खत्म होने का ही नतीजा है कि आज उत्तर प्रदेश नंबर 2 की इकोनॉमी बन गया है और ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में नंबर 2 आ चुका है। और वही वजह है कि 1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बन करके देश की इकोनॉमी के 5 ट्रिलियन का जो सपना है मोदी जी का, उसको पूरा करने का काम
लेट्स स्टिक टू लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सर, लेट्स स्टिक टू लॉ एंड ऑर्डर। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे बात कर रहे हैं हम इस वक्त, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे बात कर रहे हैं।
मैंने आपसे बोला कि अपराधियों की हिम्मत कैसे हो जा रही गोली बारूद चलाने की, तो आप प्रोटेक्ट करने लगे अपराधी को कि समाजवादी को दर्द हो रहा है। अरे हम ही तो डिमांड कर रहे हैं उन पे कार्रवाई कीजिए, अपराधी इतने बेलगाम क्यों है? और हम पे आरोप लगाने की बात, क्योंकि इसके मतलब आप जिम्मेदारी से भाग रहे हो। भागिए मत, जनता ने आपको चुना है और मैं विपक्ष की जिम्मेदारी निभा रहा हूं और आपको याद दिला रहा हूं कि आप कार्रवाई कीजिए, आप भागने की कोशिश मत कीजिए।
तो चैलेंज करता हूं, आप भाग रहे हैं। कल एक इनकाउंटर हुआ, आज बुलडोजर चला, अवैध संपत्ति का कब्जा गिराया जा रहा है। और आपके अपने मुख्तार साहब हुआ करते थे, आपके अपने मुख्तार साहब थे जिनकी संपत्ति को कुर्क किया गया, गिराया गया, अवैध संपत्ति पे जो कब्जा मचा रखा था समाजवादी पार्टी।
लेट मी कम इन जल्दी। ओके, फिनिश योर पॉइंट।
ये किया जा रहा है। तो चैलेंज करता हूं बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता को, आप टॉप 50 जो माफिया उनकी लिस्ट जारी कर दीजिए, उन पर कार्रवाई कर दीजिए, झंझट खत्म कीजिए, करिए आप। मैं तो चैलेंज करता हूं, टॉप 50, टॉप 100 आप माफियाओं की लिस्ट जारी कीजिए, हम आपके साथ हैं। चलिए कार्रवाई कीजिए, खत्म कीजिए माफिया को उत्तर प्रदेश से, बट राजनीति करना बंद कीजिए।
ओके, आपने बात रख ली है, आपने अपनी बात रख ली है। कौशलकांत मिश्रा जी,
चुन चुन के
एक सेकंड, अनुराग भदौरिया और पैनलिस्ट से जिन्होंने कुछ नहीं बोला अभी तक, प्लीज आपने एक सवाल रखा है, उनको जवाब देने दीजिए।
आप पूछिए कब जारी करेंगे लिस्ट?
कौशलकांत मिश्रा जी,
हर थाने में चले जाइए, आपको लिस्ट चक्की हुई मिल जाएगी और जो जिस थाने का अपराधी होगा उसको।
लेकिन मैं आपसे सवाल पूछ रहा हूं, वन सेकंड, लेट मी कम इन नाउ एंड बिफोर आई गो अक्रॉस टू इश्करन एंड कमरुज़मान चौधरी ऑन दिस, वन सेकंड मिस्टर मिश्रा, आई वांट टू आस्क अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड पर्टिनेंट क्वेश्चन। आज जो है योगी सरकार का कहना है कि उन्होंने इमीडिएटली बुलडोजर एक्शन लिया है उमेश पाल मर्डर अक्यूज्ड और अतीक अहमद के परिवार वालों पे जो इस पूरे मामले में इन्वॉल्व हैं। क्या आप इसको इमीडिएट एक्शन नहीं कहेंगे? क्या कहेंगे आप इसे, अनुराग भदौरिया?
मैं इनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, अगर आपने ये कार्रवाई,
क्या उसको सपोर्ट करते कि नहीं करते? सिंपल सवाल पूछ रहा हूं। अच्छी बात है कि नहीं?
मैं जवाब दे रहा हूं। हमारा एक कांस्टेबल संदीप निषाद मारा गया, उसकी हत्या हुई, यहाँ उमेश पाल की हत्या हुई। अगर आपने कार्रवाई पहले कर दी होती, अगर इतने आप कार्रवाई में जल्दी करते, पहले करते, तो हमारे ये बच जाते ना।
ओके
इनकी
तो
मौत होती ना,
आज जो
तो आप
कार्रवाई
पहले
हुई
कीजिए
है,
ना।
आपने मेरे सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया। आज की जो कार्रवाई हुई है बुलडोजर के द्वारा, इसके आप समर्थन में है कि विरोध में है? सिंपल सवाल पूछ रहा हूं।
मैं बोल रहा हूं कि उत्तर प्रदेश में
जवाब दीजिए सर।
उत्तर प्रदेश में माफिया खत्म होने चाहिए, लेकिन सवाल है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी माफिया खत्म की बात
तो बुलडोजर चलना चाहिए था कि नहीं?
अरे मैं कह तो रहा हूं कि उत्तर प्रदेश में जो भी माफिया है उस पर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। समाजवादी
बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
कार्रवाई मतलब क्या होता है? कार्रवाई जो चाहे वो कार्रवाई कीजिए।
तो बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई ठीक है,
माफिया के साथ कोई नहीं खड़ा, लेकिन आप राजनीति मत कीजिए। आप ये बोल के कि समाजवादी पार्टी आप कानून व्यवस्था को बनाइए। हमारे लोग जो मारे जा रहे हैं, जो हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश के लोग की हत्या हो रही है, वो रुकनी चाहिए।
विपक्ष के कई नेता हैं।
संदीप निषाद की मौत नहीं होती अगर आप कार्रवाई पहले कर देते तो। यहाँ पे उमेश पाल की मौत
प्रॉब्लम यह है कि आप ही के स्टेट में कई विपक्षी नेता है जो कह रहे हैं कि बुलडोजर की राजनीति ही गलत है, तो आप उसके समर्थन में आ गए।
कह रहा हूं
आप इसके समर्थन में आ गए।
माफिया पे अगर कार्रवाई करते हैं हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं, लेकिन माफिया पे कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए। लेकिन उसकी आड़ में एक मिनट, उसकी आड़ में अगर आप राजनीति करेंगे तो आपका विरोध होगा। इसलिए आप राजनीति मत कीजिए। अगर
कौन तय करेगा
तो कार्रवाई कीजिए।
कौन तय करेगा सर? कौन तय करेगा?
मैं बार बार आपसे कह रहा हूं, टॉप 50 माफियाओं के लिस्ट जारी कर दीजिए।
ओके, लेट मी ब्रिंग इट
आपके सपोर्ट में
let me bring in it's a very interesting position being taken here by Anurag Bhadoria, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, because he is not directly opposing the bulldozer action that has been taken. Very different from the voices we hear here in the national capital, where people say that these are extra constitutional means, these are extra judicial means, and this is setting a wrong precedent. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, where do you stand on this? Do you support the Samajwadi Party, who's demanding even more stringent action on those who he considers mafia?
Madhav, I can't speak for Samajwadi Party, but I speak for myself and a common Indian, you know. Modi government, along with his two of his best chief minister for him, one is the Yogi Adityanath and another one is the Himanta Biswa Sharma of Assam. They have completely changed the law, the rules of interpretation of the law. You ask them, why have you used a bulldozer against this particular family or this particular rise? The common alibi will be that it is an illegal construction. Now, do you remember the case of Afrin Fatima in Kanpur? It seems allegedly her father was involved in the protest against Nupur Sharma's blasphemous comments on the day. There were a riot, there were incidents that should not have taken place. But what right does the government have to punish the family members of an accused? If in this particular case that we are discussing out here, anybody can be a criminal. But does that give the right to the government? Are we in fact a banana republic?
Well, in this particular case, the claim is that a notice was issued in much in advance and not just now. But I'm going to allow Ishkaran to come in on that. Ishkaran, question coming in from the Congress: are we a banana republic? Are the rules of how the criminal jurisprudence is supposed to be carried out being changed by particular state governments?
Madhav, my view on that has been very consistent. Demolition should only be done as per law, and in most of these cases, the action is being taken as per. In fact, all the cases, action is being taken as per law. Otherwise, you'll get a stay from the court. When a notice is issued and the person knows it's illegal property, in UP, I was hearing cases about people occupying ponds. तालाब को कवर करके बिल्डिंगें बना दी हैं. Notices are pending for years. The government takes action because you have got a no relief from the court. The government should take action and should take decisive action. The only thing probably is happening is when somebody does a crime, he gets highlighted and all his notices pending against him get highlighted. That could probably be the only thing. Otherwise, all these actions are after notice. Otherwise, the court will step in if it was not as per law and as per notices and as per the procedure established by law.
All right,
but I want very clear on that.
Yeah, but I want to bring in Dr. Mishra on that because Mishra जी, ये कहा जा रहा है विपक्ष द्वारा कि ये ठोक नीति है यूपी सरकार की. क्या कहेंगे इस पे?
उनसे बोलो
एक सेकंड, अब अनुराग जी प्लीज टर्न बाय टर्न.
आतंकवादियों को कानूनी तौर पे ठोकना ही कानून व्यवस्था को एस्टैब्लिश करना होता है और यही वजह है जिस तरह से देखिए जब से योगी सरकार आई है तब से अपराधी लोग या तो समर्पण करके जेल में बैठे हुए हैं या फिर उत्तर प्रदेश छोड़ के भाग जा रहे हैं और कानून व्यवस्था एस्टैब्लिश हुई है. यही वजह है इकोनॉमी यहां पहुंची है और ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ रहा है. समस्या क्या है कि समाजवादी पार्टी को अपराधियों में भी जाति और धर्म ढूंढना पड़ता है. यह दिक्कत है. इनको अपने वोट बैंक की चिंता है. यहां पर केवल और केवल कानून व्यवस्था राज है और कानून व्यवस्था ऐसे ही काम करती रहेगी। समाजवादी पार्टी अपने वोट बैंक की चिंता में थोड़ी विक्षिप्त हो गई, उसे समझ में नहीं आ रहा वो क्या कहे। इसी वजह से एक ही समाजवादी पार्टी के कुछ प्रवक्ता एक बात कहते हैं, दूसरे प्रवक्ता दूसरी बात कहते हैं। तो हमारा स्टैंड बड़ा क्लियर है कि सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास के साथ सारे अपराधियों का नाश, यही होना है, यही कानून की असली व्यवस्था है।
उनको डर क्यों नहीं है, खौफ क्यों नहीं है? इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं आप राजनीति करो तभी उनको खौफ नहीं होता है। आप जब वो कार्रवाई करते हैं,
भदौरिया जी, थोड़ा तो ठंडा रखिए, इतने परेशान क्यों हो रहे हैं?
लेकिन
जब भदौरिया जी इतने परेशान क्यों हो रहे हैं?
खत्म होगा।
सफाई का महोत्सव नहीं चल रहा है, सफाई का महोत्सव नहीं चल रहा कि मुजफ्फरनगर में दंगा चलता रहेगा और आप महोत्सव करते रहेंगे। आप भूल गए हैं, सफाई महोत्सव भूल गए हैं। जब मुजफ्फरनगर में दंगा चल रहा था तो मुंबई से लोग यहाँ पर ऑटो पे बैठ के, हवाई जहाज पे बैठ के ऑटो की तरह आ जा रहे थे और दंगे को चलाया जा रहा था। अरे कानून व्यवस्था की बात हो रही है, गुंडों की बात नहीं हो रही है। अपराधियों को जेल की सलाखों के पीछे होना चाहिए। जनता खुश है, पूरी जनता उत्तर प्रदेश की जश्न मना रही है, दीपोत्सव हो रहा है, रंगोत्सव हो रहा है, बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही हैं, अच्छी चीजें हो रही हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश का इकोनॉमिक विकास हो रहा है, उत्तर प्रदेश बीमारों
हमें
उत्तर प्रदेश बन रहा है और अगले 5 सालों में सर्वोत्तम प्रदेश बन जाएगा।
Let me come in here. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, there's an interesting piece of research which our team has just unearthed, and it's very relevant. It's very relevant because just 9 months ago, in April 2022, this is what Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot said. He made an emphatic assertion that no CM, not even Prime Minister, has the right to demolish house that was accused. However, Rajasthan joined that list when the Jaipur Development Authority demolished a coaching institute run by Suresh Dhaka, Bhupesh Saran and other accused in the case of leak of the paper for the second grade teacher recruitment exam. So if the same thing is happening in Uttar Pradesh, then of course, and Assam, then you are very quick to criticize and you have every right to do so. But what about what's happening in Rajasthan? Why does that not get any criticism, sir?
As a principal stand that I will be taking out here, I will criticize the Rajasthan government also, because the government doesn't have a right to bulldoze anybody's house. Even the Allahabad High Court in 2021, Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court in 2020, 2018, again the Allahabad High Court had censored the Uttar Pradesh government very severely on demolition without following the due process of law. You just listen to the last month's order of the Guwahati High Court against the illegal demolition of the people who were involved in the violence as grave as burning down a policeman when the Assam government bulldozed their houses. The Assam government had to pay compensation to those criminals who were involved in burning down the police station in Assam. My first and last point out here, Madhav, is we are, for God's sake, not in a bananas republic.
Quick response from Ishkaran.
Ishkaran, wherein a particular...
Are there multiple standards at play over here?
With a bulldozer
politics. I started the debate by saying it. There cannot be any sitting position in a democracy, be it Ajmal Kasab, who I am very happy got a trial and convicted by the court, or be it Yaqub Menem, who was hanged after a trial, even though some newspapers ran the headline, they hanged Yaqub Menem, or the property, no matter who the criminal, the property has to be demolished after following the procedure established by law. But that is what is being done. That is why they are not getting stay orders from the court. And now to make hoopla out of it is unfair. And in any case, 1 second.
We'll have to leave it there, gentlemen. Sorry, we're completely out of time on this debate. Dr. Kaushal Kant Mishra, Ishkaran Bhandari, and Anurag Bhadoria, Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Nobody's denying that India's law and order in certain states needs drastic action, but it should all happen within the purview of law. That's the only message coming out. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मोहुल, who is founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. बट उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं। सो इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन इफ़ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है एंड कब इसका ऑफिशियली लॉन्च आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So, first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also have a 6 kilowatt version of the bike. And in terms of timeline, in the next 30 days we will be giving out the spec variants and pricing to the larger market. We will be opening up bookings for the Matter motorbike this quarter, and deliveries summer में शुरू हो जाने वाली है।
शुरू हो जाएंगी। सो एक चीज़ जो बहुत ही टेक्नोलॉजी का हूँ इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बाइक के बारे में, इसमें गियर है। इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक होने के साथ साथ इसमें वो आइस वाला आपने एसेंस और बहुत बड़ा एसेंस इसमें बचा के रखा है। सो वो कैसे आपने उस पर काम किया है एंड हाउ डिड यू थॉट अबाउट दिस कि ये अगर हम इसमें इंक्लूड कर पाते हैं गियर शिफ्ट वाला पैटर्न, सो वो कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ? हाउ
So when we in 2019 when we were starting out, we spoke to a lot of consumers कि electric bike क्यों नहीं खरीदते। In 2019 there were only a handful of players who were giving motorcycles as a product, and what we realized is कि motorcycling is emotion driven. You name your bike, you work with it, you control it, you become one with your bike, and from there the common theme came, control नहीं मिल रहा, feel नहीं आ रही, right? Obviously once we started translating कि हमें क्या सुनाई दे रहा है और कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए, and we've spoken to over 500 customers on this. Clear indication, gear तो चाहिए, and that's when we said कि let's make something that the consumers truly want. ऐसा नहीं कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसी को वापस पैकेज करके दे देते हैं, लेट्स मेक इट। तो वहाँ से when the journey started, we had to make our own motors, we had to make the gearboxes.
You're watching the News Hour at 9.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal defends Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain and has declared war against the BJP. He has announced a door-to-door campaign and says he will take the message to the people. Mukhtar Ansari gang's shooter Brijesh Sonkar was arrested with an illegal weapon, and the police is set to interrogate him in connection with the Prayagraj case. Rajasthan BJP MP Kirori Lal Meena says the Pulwama martyrs have been betrayed and claims that widows of 5 Pulwama martyrs are yet to be compensated. The sarpanches of various villages from across Haryana staged protest against the government's e-tendering policy and were lathi-charged during the protest.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. Guys, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। Inside the box you get this little paper box as well, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं। उफ, very vibrant and peppy yellow color, just like the
Hello and welcome.
you're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the bulldozers rolled out again in Uttar Pradesh, this time against those who are involved in the murder of Umesh Pal in Prayagraj. The police has now identified a total of 13 shooters and in addition planners who are a part of this murder conspiracy hatched at the behest of Samajwadi Party leader, ex-Samajwadi Party leader Atiq Ahmed. But even as the law cracks down on those who have their hands covered in blood, the politics in UP raged over who has emboldened the murderers from behind the scenes. And also questions were raised about the legality of the bulldozer action. Unmindful of all this, the police is hot on the heels of the murderers. Prime among them are Guddu Muslim, seen lobbing bombs at Umesh Pal's gunners. Atiq Ahmed's son Asad, who was seen with a gun at the spot of the murder, and a man known as Ghulam, who was the main shooter and assassin. Raids were carried out at the flat owned by Atiq Ahmed in Lucknow to hunt for Asad. While Asad was not found, the police did impound 2 luxury cars belonging to the family. The STF also picked up a man linked to shooter Ghulam, and the Prayagraj Development Authority got cracking on the property owned by Atiq's close aide Javed Ahmed. From the property, 2 rifles and a sword were also recovered. But now the fight is intensely political and is centered around the links that are slowly but undeniably emerging between the Samajwadi Party and the murderers. First, it was the planner Sadakat who was arrested from the Muslim hostel in Allahabad University, and his pictures were seen with Akhilesh Yadav. And now Times Now has accessed pictures of the shooter Ghulam. Remember, Ghulam is the man that you can see on your screen lying in wait. He was caught on CCTV cameras lying in wait at the site of the encounter and then firing indiscriminately at Umesh Pal and his gunners, killing all 3. Now, Ghulam's pictures have surfaced campaigning for the former president of Allahabad University and the Rashtriya Mahasachiv of Samajwadi Party Chhatra Mahasabha, Uday Prakash Yadav. In another picture, Ghulam can also be seen with Akhilesh Yadav himself, flanked by Uday Prakash Yadav in what seems like the SP's office. No wonder then that today Yogi Adityanath put the Samajwadi Party and Akhilesh Yadav firmly in the dock for their links with murder and mafia.
वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट है जिसने यहाँ की परंपरागत उत्पाद को, एमएसएमई को एक नया जीवन दिया है। लेकिन ये सच है कि आप ओडीओपी तो नहीं दे पाए, लेकिन वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन माफिया जरूर दे दिए थे। हर समस्या के 2 समाधान होते हैं। हर समस्या के 2 समाधान, भाग लो या भाग लो। या तो उसे चुनौती के रूप में स्वीकार करते हुए उसका सामना करो, उस प्रकार की कार्य योजना बनाओ और उसके समाधान के स्तर पर पहुंचाओ, जैसे कि 6 वर्ष के अंदर किया गया। और दूसरा है, जैसे नेता प्रतिपक्ष की सीट खाली है, भाग लो।
साजिशकर्ता की फोटो वायरल हो रही थी कल, और कोई उससे भाग नहीं सकता। लोग कहें कि साहब सोशल मीडिया का जमाना है, लोग कुछ कर लेंगे। अरे हाथ मिला रहे हैं, पीछे आपकी पार्टी का सिंबल लगा हुआ है और तब भी आप उससे मुंह मोड़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। यानी राजू पाल की कोई जाति नहीं थी क्या? जब राजू पाल की हत्या हुई थी तब पेशेवर अपराधी और माफिया के संरक्षणदाता कौन थे?
The question though remains, have these links with the murders now become too close for comfort for the Samajwadi Party, and will they come out and explain the presence of everyone from the planners to the shooters to masterminds in the midst of the party?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right,
right, joining us on the debate is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, Mr. R. Rajgopalan, senior journalist, Advocate Adil Hassan, AIMIM youth president and advocate. The first question naturally is to IP Singh, national spokesperson of Samajwadi Party. Mr. IP Singh, अगर माफिया पे बुलडोजर चल रहा है तो समाजवादी पार्टी को परेशानी क्यों हो रही है?
देखिए, उत्तर प्रदेश में भाजपा ने कानून व्यवस्था का अंतिम संस्कार कर दिया है। पिछले 6 वर्षों से आदित्यनाथ जी उत्तर प्रदेश में मुख्यमंत्री हैं। 6 वर्ष हो गए सरकार को। केंद्र में 9 वर्ष की सरकार है। ये वही सरकार है जो ये कहती है कि गुंडे उत्तर प्रदेश की सीमाएं छोड़कर चले गए।
आईपी सिंह जी, ये बताइए, अभी मुद्दा है बुलडोजर का। बुलडोजर अगर अतीक अहमद और उसके गुर्गों पर चल रहा है तो क्या परेशानी है?
नहीं, ये देखिए, बात बिल्कुल सही है। इन सभी के घरों पर बुलडोजर चलना चाहिए। हमारे कहने का यह मतलब है कि अपराधी जो बचे रह गए, ये कैसे बचे रह गए? जब आपने कहा कि उत्तर प्रदेश में राम राज्य स्थापित हो गया, उत्तर प्रदेश में सब कुछ अच्छा है, फिर ये लोग कैसे बचे रह गए?
आईपी सिंह जी, मैं आपको बताती हूँ कैसे बचे रह गए। आपको राम राज्य की चिंता हो रही है। जो अतीक अहमद ने 2005 में मर्डर किया, 2008 में सरेंडर किया, 2012 में वो रिहा हो गया, 2014 में आपने उसको अपने सिंबल पर लड़ाया और अब आपको राम राज्य की चिंता हो रही है, आपको लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की चिंता हो रही है। जब एक मर्डरर को अपने सिंबल पर आप चुनाव लड़ा रहे थे 2014 में, तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर और राम राज्य कहा गया था सर। इसीलिए तो बचा है अतीक अहमद।
2014 छोड़ दीजिए, 2018 में जेल में से छोड़,
एक अपराधी को 2005 में हत्या कर चुका था, 2008 में जेल जा चुका था। एक आदमी जो कि सजा याफ्ता था, आपने छुड़वा के उसको इलेक्शन लड़वाया और आज आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की बात कर रहे हैं। माफिया को टिकट दे आप,
सुननी पड़ेगी
सर, माफिया को टिकट दे आप, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे सवाल उठाएं।
आपको सुनना पड़ेगा। माफियाओं को टिकट बीजेपी देती है, माफियाओं को।
सर, कोई लखनऊ में रहता है ना, उसको पता है कि कोई एक बोलेरो गाड़ी या स्कॉर्पियो गाड़ी जिसमें होता था समाजवादी पार्टी का झंडा, उसका क्या मतलब होता था।
एमएलसी का चुनाव लड़ा
और लखनऊ विश्वविद्यालय में अगर समाजवादी पार्टी के झंडे की गाड़ी कोई आ जाए, पूरी दुनिया जानती है उसका क्या मतलब होता था। तो आप राम राज्य लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की तो बात ना करें। अतीक अहमद को अतीक अहमद बनाया किसने? और अगर 2005 में वो मर्डर बंद कर चुका था, 2014 में आपने क्यों लड़ाया? आप बताइए ना, क्यों लड़ाया?
बीजेपी के 3 और मुख्यमंत्री हुए। आदित्यनाथ जी चौथे मुख्यमंत्री हैं। चौथे मुख्यमंत्री का बीजेपी पहली बार सत्ता में आई है क्या? अतीक अहमद तब नहीं था, मुख्तार अंसारी तब नहीं था, ये माफिया गुंडे तब नहीं थे। आखिर इनका खात्मा बीजेपी ने क्यों नहीं किया?
अब हो रहा है ना खात्मा,
किसने
होगा खात्मा, ऐसे ही होना चाहिए खात्मा। ये सोचने वाली बात ये है। आईपी सिंह जी, ये बताइए, पहले मुलायम जी की सरकार थी, अतीक अहमद का एक छत्र राज था, मायावती की सरकार, उसने सरेंडर किया। 2012 में आपकी सरकार बनी, अतीक अहमद जेल के बाहर आ जाता है, फिर चुनाव लड़ लेता है, फिर वो अचानक से बड़ा होने की कोशिश करता है। आप ये बताइए ना कि अतीक अहमद के बेटे को सरेंडर कब हुआ? कब हुआ? जब योगी सरकार बनी। नहीं तो अतीक अहमद के बेटे, अतीक अहमद की बीवी, अतीक अहमद के माइनर बेटे, हर कोई गुंडा है। किसने उनको इतना फ्री रन दिया हुआ है? क्यों अब उनके 2 बेटे जेल में बैठे हुए हैं और बाकियों पे एफआईआर है?
बीजेपी शेल्टर देती है। उनके जो इलाहाबाद के मंत्री हैं वो शेल्टर देते हैं क्योंकि उसका लाभ बीजेपी को लेना होता है।
अच्छा, बीजेपी लाभ ले लेती है पर चुनाव चिन्ह आपका लड़ते हैं वो। बट ये बताइए संजू वर्मा, द डिबेट टुडे ऑल्सो इज दैट
प्रोटेक्शन देती है,
दैट योर मिनिस्टर एंड एमपी
ठेके पट्टे देती है।
फाइन, अतीक अहमद इज इन जेल, his sons are in jail, another son is on the run, there is a bounty on his head, 50,000 reward has been given. But you can't have MPs and ministers of the BJP saying कि उनकी गाड़ी पलट जाएगी। ये तो मतलब this seems like state sponsored गुंडा राज, where you're saying हम इसकी गाड़ी पलट देंगे, हम इसको ठोक देंगे, हम इसको गिरा देंगे।
Okay, पद्मजा जी, you know, please इनको अभी चुप करवाइए, मैंने बिल्कुल इनको नहीं टोका।
He's silent. Go on.
I don't know, I can hear some echo in my audio.
Okay. घबरा रही है, हम कौन सा आपको
अरे भाई साहब।
Okay, one at a time, please. How can you say गाड़ी पलट जाएगी, संजू वर्मा?
Thank you. Okay. Padmaja, first things first, you've laid out the tone of the debate. Let's be very clear that हत्या राजूपाल की हुई थी जब मुलायम सिंह यादव मुख्यमंत्री थे, रिहाई हुई आतिक अहमद की जब मायावती मुख्यमंत्री थी 2012 में, और आतिक अहमद को सांसद की टिकट और उनको मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बनाया गया जब अखिलेश यादव मुख्यमंत्री थे। तो चाहे मुलायम सिंह यादव की बात करें या मायावती की बात करें या अखिलेश यादव की बात करें, इन सब ने, एज योगी आदित्यनाथ recently said on the floor of the assembly, when it comes to common man, आम आदमी के लिए हम बड़ी मित्रतापूर्ण और संवेदनापूर्ण, these are the two words he used, हम पेश आएंगे। बट जहां अपराधियों की बात आती है तो हम वो सब कुछ करेंगे जो करना चाहिए ताकि उनको उनकी सही जगह पहुंचाया जाए, क्योंकि यदि उत्तर प्रदेश में पुलिस का इकबाल नहीं होगा, कानून का राज नहीं होगा, तो पुलिस कर्मचारियों पर लोगों का विश्वास उठ जाएगा उन पर से और उनका आदर सम्मान नहीं होगा। टेल मी व्हाट इज रॉन्ग इन दिस?
तो पुलिस के विश्वास के लिए आप कह रहे हैं कि गाड़ी पलट जाएगी? दिस ऑलमोस्ट सीम्स लाइक सजेस्टिंग कि हम उसको फेक एनकाउंटर में मार गिराएंगे।
I will answer that. Padmaja, I have said this many times on your debate. You will not take on board what the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh is saying, but you will take on board what some junior member, some Tom, Dick and Harry somewhere is saying. I am saying when it comes to Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath's word is final. He has said that under the UP Gangster Act of 1986 and under the UP Gangster Rules of 2021, Section 37(3), मुझे बताइए सेक्शन 37(3) के तहत जो गैंगस्टर एक्ट के तहत एक्शन लिया गया है वो तो कानूनी भी जायज है। आप उसको कैसे कह सकते हैं?
I'm not entirely sure Subrat Pathak would be happy to be called a Tom, Dick and Harry is a member of parliament, but the UP Chief Minister एडवोकेट आदिल हसन, उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री कह रहे हैं कि जो कानून पसंद है उसको कानूनी कार्रवाई की जाएगी, बाकियों को मिट्टी में मिला देंगे कानून के दायरे के अंदर, चाहे वो अतीक अहमद हो, चाहे वो मुख्तार अंसारी हो, चाहे वो टॉम, डिक एंड हैरी हो।
मैम, लगेगी आग तो आएंगे घर, कई जज में सिर्फ हमारा मकान थोड़ी है। ये जो बुलडोजर पॉलिटिक्स योगी आदित्यनाथ जी कर रहे हैं, समझ में आएगा, सत्ता बदलेगा, परिस्थिति बदलेगी, जब अहंकार टूटेगा तो इन्हें भी समझ में आएगा। हम रूल ऑफ द लॉ की बात करते हैं, हमें भारतीय जुडिशियरी पर पूरा यकीन है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय से लेकर लोअर जुडिशियरी पर हम उस पर विश्वास करते हैं। योगी आदित्यनाथ जी को पहले यह जवाब देना चाहिए कि मुख्यमंत्री रहते हुए अपने ऊपर जितना आपराधिक मामला किस बुनियाद पर उन्होंने हटाया। पहला हिंदू भारत के पहले मुख्यमंत्री होंगे जिन्होंने अपने ऊपर आपराधिक जितनी भी मुकदमाएं थे उन्होंने हटा ली। यही तो न्याय है उनका। बोलते हैं कि मैं राम राज लाऊंगा, बोलते हैं कि मैं इंसाफ की बात करूंगा, न्याय करूंगा, गरीब को इंसाफ दूंगा। एक आदमी अपने पर जब न्याय नहीं कर सकता है तो दूसरे पे वो क्या न्याय करेंगे?
सर, एक मुद्दे पे बात करें, जहां तक की लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की बात है, सर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की बात है, वो उस पर अप्लाई होता है ना जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर में विश्वास रखे। जो आदमी दूसरों को गोली मार दे दिन दहाड़े, जेल में बैठ करके उसकी प्लानिंग करे, उसमें आप क्या लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की बात कर रहे हैं? माफिया को तो हटा करके लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बनेगा ना।
मैम, उत्तर प्रदेश कभी इस चीज में पीछे ही नहीं रहा है ना मैडम। अभी कानपुर में बुलडोजर चलाया, आपने देखा कि 2 मासूमों की कैसे निर्मय हत्या हो गई। आप ही बतलाइए, पहले भारत के
सर, जहां तक कि उत्तर प्रदेश के आंकड़ों की बात है, मैं आपको आंकड़े बता सकती हूं। अगर हम जेनेरिक आंकड़ों की बात करेंगे तो मैं आपको आंकड़े इतने बता सकती हूं कि जहां तक कि रेप का सवाल है, 2014 और 2020 के बीच में जहां 3,467 cases of rape were there in 2014. In 2020, it's come down to 2,769. Whereas far as murder is concerned, 5,150 in 2014 has come down to 3,779. Law and order के बारे में जहां तक का बात करें, according to the state government, 124 criminals have been eliminated in various police encounters from the 13th of March 2017 to the 9th of August 2020. That being said, in the present case, the simple question is, Mr. Rajgopalan, that in the name of law and order, can the state run roughshod? मैसेज बहुत अच्छा जा रहा है कि भाई हम ठोक देंगे, मिट्टी में मिला देंगे, but ultimately things like Kanpur happen, where a lady and her daughter were immolated.
Padmaja, you talked about Kanpur.
But you talked about Atiq Ahmed. I am following the story very closely, and the panelists, other two representing Samajwadi Party and other party, they are not arguing properly. My understanding is, as Prime Minister has said that UP में law and order साफ सुधरी है. That is what you reflected on your statistics. Just you rolled it out, Padmaja. But my understanding is, why did people, voters of Uttar Pradesh, re-elect Mr. Yogi Adityanath? And Prime Minister also said Yogi plus UP is equal to Upayogi. And Yogi Adityanath yesterday in the assembly also very categorically said Bharatiya Janata Party has given one district, one product. But here, what the previous government gave was one district, one mafia. He said it on the floor of the House. So why can't you answer that? These two spokespersons of AM and Samajwadi Party should answer that. Apart from that, law and order has come out very clearly, and in 2024, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also stated, and Yogi Adityanath is also very silent on that. My understanding is Yogi Adityanath, best law and order, kept the state under control. There is no crime activity. Beyond that, bulldozer, yes, bulldozer is being that. Mamata Banerjee has also copied that. Why can't this Samajwadi Party react to that? Mamata Banerjee enacted a law in the state assembly of
and Ashok Gehlot, कांग्रेस अशोक गहलोत, उन्होंने राजस्थान में कहा कि जो पेपर लीक कर रहे हैं उनके घर गिरा दिए जाएंगे. पेपर लीक के मामले में बुलडोजर अशोक गहलोत इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. ममता बनर्जी प्रॉपर्टी अटैच कर रही हैं. वहां पे किसी को लॉ एंड ऑर्डर याद नहीं आता. बट लेट मी कम बैक टू यू मिस्टर आईपी सिंह. आप जो बात कर रहे हैं ना, आज मुख्यमंत्री ने बोला वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन माफिया. इट ऑल्सो सीम्स कि इन दिस प्रेजेंट केस इट इज वन डे वन समाजवादी पार्टी कनेक्शन. पहले अगर सदाकत की बात थी तो आज एक गुलाम निकल करके आ रहे हैं. ये गुलाम भाई साहब ना सिर्फ अखिलेश जी के साथ, उनकी तस्वीर है, देखिए उनकी तस्वीर अखिलेश जी के साथ. मतलब ऐसा लगता है, आज शिवपाल जी ने बोला कि भाई समाजवादी पार्टी के ऑफिस में तो कई लोग आते हैं, सोशल मीडिया का जमाना है. सारे शूटर, दंगाई, गुर्गे ये क्यों आ रहे हैं समाजवादी पार्टी के ऑफिस में? कभी सदाकत आ जाता है, अभी गुलाम की फोटो आ गई अखिलेश जी के साथ. और ये गुलाम भाई साहब तो आपके छात्र परिषद के नेता के साथ उनका प्रचार कर रहे हैं, कैंपेनिंग कर रहे हैं उनकी. देखिए तस्वीरों में दिख रहे हैं वो. उदय प्रताप यादव की कैंपेनिंग की है उन्होंने.
ये जो जिस फोटो की बात आप कर रही हैं, पब्लिक डोमेन में जो भी है उसके साथ अब ऋचा सिंह वहां प्रेसिडेंट रही इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी की, अहमद साहब थे, और जो भी लेके आएगा उसके साथ फोटो होती है. तो कॉमन फिनोमेना है, लेकिन उसको लेकर आप चर्चा करेंगी.
अरे आप सदाकत को छोड़ दीजिए, अब तो मैं शूटर की बात कर रही हूं सर. आईपी सिंह साहब आप तस्वीरें देखिए. गुलाम वो आदमी है जिसने गोली चलाई, वो दिख रहा है गोली चलाते हुए, वो दिख रहा है प्रचार करते हुए. राष्ट्रीय महासचिव छात्र महासभा समाजवादी पार्टी उदय प्रकाश यादव का प्रचार किया है गुलाम नाम के शूटर ने.
हमें बोलने नहीं दे रही हैं.
शूटर प्रचारक बन गया. शूटर प्रचारक है समाजवादी पार्टी का.
हमें बोलने तो दीजिए.
बोलिए, गुलाम क्यों प्रचार कर रहा है आपका?
मुख्यमंत्री जी की सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि कि उत्तर प्रदेश में एनसीआरबी की रिपोर्ट कहती है कि 2021 में 3721 हत्याएं हुई हैं.
अरे सर आप एनसीआरबी छोड़िए, तो उत्तर प्रदेश अभी ये तस्वीर देखिए और बताइए. और सर तस्वीर देख के बताइए कि शूटर में समाजवादी पार्टी का प्रचार क्यों कर रहा है.
डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट में कल्याण सिंह जी क्या कर रहे थे?
शूटर प्रचार क्यों कर रहा है?
स्वर्गीय कल्याण सिंह जी क्या कर रहे थे?
सर कल्याण सिंह जी जो भी कर रहे थे, ये गुलाम क्या कर रहा है आपके प्रचार में?
जब वो मुख्यमंत्री थे, श्री राजनाथ सिंह जी मुख्यमंत्री थे.
अरे
तो
सर
क्या
गुलाम आपका प्रचार क्यों कर रहा है?
सोकाल बाबा जी मुख्यमंत्री हो गए.
ये गुलाम आपका प्रचार क्यों कर रहा है?
6 वर्षों से ये क्या कर रहे थे? कि वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट की.
सर आप प्रोडक्ट पे आ गए. मैं कह रही हूँ कि एक सेकेंड,
योगी जी ने तैयार किया.
क्या आप गुलाम का जवाब देंगे? आईपी सिंह साहब आप फिर से तस्वीरें देखिए. इस शूट आउट में साफ साफ गुलाम, ना सिर्फ एक सेकंड व्यूअर्स को तस्वीरें देखने दीजिए, ना सिर्फ ये आदमी दिखाई दे रहा है जिसने राजू पाल के ऊपर गोली चलाई, उसके बाद इसने जाकर के जो पुलिस वाला जमीन पे पड़ा था उसकी राइफल खींची।
कुलदीप सेंगर जो बीजेपी के एमएलए थे, क्या क्या किया उन्नाव में?
अरे जेल में है ना कुलदीप सेंगर, उसको होना चाहिए।
विधायक, सांसद, मंत्री, नेता।
ओके, लेट मी ट्राई एंड आस्क एडवोकेट आदिल हसन साहब, अभी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की बात की जा रही है, क्या सही है क्या गलत है की बात की जा रही है। सिंपल सवाल मैं ये पूछ रही हूं कि एक आदमी जिसने गोली चलाई है वो समाजवादी पार्टी का प्रचार क्यों कर रहा है?
मैम ये तो बेहतर समाजवादी पार्टी बतलाएगी, लेकिन मुझे एडीआर की रिपोर्ट मेरे हाथ में है। 403 एमएलए में 205 एमएलए आपराधिक है, जिसमें बीजेपी के सर्वाधिक है। 111 एमएलए पर आपराधिक मामला चल रहा है, समाजवादी दूसरे नंबर पे है।
अरे सर, आप पुरानी है, आप जेनेरिक आंकड़ों पे क्यों जा रहे हैं? मैं तो सिंपल सवाल ये पूछ रही हूं कि चलिए अतीक अहमद से दूरियां बना ली, आपने सदाकत से दूरियां बना ली, अब ये तो बता दीजिए आईपी सिंह साहब, आप बताएंगे शूटर क्या कर रहा है? क्या कर रहा है ये शूटर?
सदाकत ना
फोटो है,
शूटर क्या कर रहा है?
प्लीज कम इन।
अखिलेश जी के साथ है शूटर, आपके छात्र महासभा के डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रेसिडेंट के साथ है, जनरल सेक्रेटरी के साथ है ये शूटर। क्या कर रहा है शूटर, बताइए आईपी सिंह साहब।
भाई आप बीजेपी के नाम लेने से पद्मजा क्यों डर रही हैं, क्यों चिंतित हैं आप? बीजेपी के विधायकों के साथ उसकी फोटोग्राफ है, मुख्यमंत्री जी के साथ
सदाकत की बात ही नहीं कर रही सर,
बहराइच का है।
मैं इस गुलाम नाम के आदमी के आपकी जबान गुलाम का नाम लेने से क्यों लड़खड़ा रही है?
मुख्यमंत्री जी को, आदित्यनाथ जी को बहराइच में गब्बर सिंह, उसका जिक्र आप नहीं करेंगी।
ओके संजू वर्मा, क्लियरली आई एम नॉट गेटिंग एनी आंसर्स टू व्हाट दिस मैन वाज डूइंग एंड इट्स शॉकिंग। द सेम मैन seen with Atiq Ahmed's son, the same man seen opening fire at a policeman, the same man seen picking up the rifle of a policeman who has fallen to the ground and then opening fire at the victim, and the same man then also going and campaigning for the Samajwadi Party. Sanju Verma, your counter.
Thank you Padmaja ji. I just want to say a couple of things. सबसे पहली बात तो ये है that if you look at the statement of the Prayagraj Commissioner of Police Mr. Ramit Sharma, and if you look at the statement of the Vice Chairman of Prayagraj, Local Development Corporation, Mr. Arvind Chauhan, both have said one thing, Padmaja. They have said that before any of, Atiq Ahmed or Ashraf Ahmed or Zafar Ahmed or Sadakat Khan, these are all people who are close associates of Atiq Ahmed, including his wife Shaista Parveen, who has been named in the FIR, and she was staying in the house of a man called Khalid Jafar, whose house has also been demolished. All these people who are associates of Atiq Ahmed, the UP government, the Prayagraj Local Municipal Corporation sent at least 6 notices. Read the exact statement by Arvind Chauhan. 6 बार पिछले 2 सालों में 2020 से नोटिस भेजे जा रहे हैं. Forget about responding to the notices with gay abandon. These people actually threw a gauntlet at the UP administration, defined them. आप पहले तो क्रिमिनल्स को, अपराधियों को पालते हो, पोसते हो, उनको नर्चर करते हो, उनको लोकसभा की टिकट देते हो, बाद में जब गैंगस्टर एक्ट के तहत उन पर कार्रवाई होती है, तब आकर आप टीवी डिबेट्स पर रोते हो, बिलबिलाते हो, बौखला जाते हो। ऐसा नहीं चलेगा।
बताइए ना, ये लोग कौन हैं? ये कौन लोग हैं? ये कौन लोग हैं जिन्हें सम्मानित करती है बीजेपी, जिन्हें सम्मानित करते हैं मुख्यमंत्री जी, जिन्हें मंच पर नजर आते हैं लोग, ये लोग कौन हैं?
ये आपने बहुत अच्छी बात की आईपी सिंह साहब। कौन है वो लोग जिनको सम्मानित किया जाता है और मंच पर लाया जाता है? हमने कुछ तस्वीरें निकाली, राम राज्य की बात हो रही थी, तो अरुण शुक्ला डालीगंज में, लखनऊ में, उनको बहुत नाम था, बहुत नामचीन अपराधी थे वो। मुलायम सिंह यादव जी के साथ देखे जा रहे हैं 1990 में।
रमेश कालिया का भी नाम,
अरुण शुक्ला को
चुनाव लड़ाई थी एमएलसी का।
अरुण शुक्ला के रिलेटिव को टिकट किसने दिलवाया? समाजवादी पार्टी का लिंक था। कानपुर में पिछले साल दंगे हुए थे, कानपुर में जो पिछले साल दंगे हुए थे, उसमें यह पता चला कि जिस व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पर दंगे की साजिश रची गई, उसके एडमिन थे निजाम कुरैशी, जो कि समाजवादी पार्टी से हैं, और बाकी जितने अतीक अहमद ये सब, इनका तो पूरा उत्तर प्रदेश, पूरा देश जानता है. द बॉटम लाइन बीइंग दैट Mafia Raj has to end, and a stern message has gone out to the people who think that they can drag Uttar Pradesh back to the dark ages of the 90s. It's not that time anymore, and it must not be allowed. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me. Under pressure after the Supreme Court denied any respite to Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia on his plea for bail, Aam Aadmi Party chief today finally decided to find replacements for the erstwhile power center in the Delhi cabinet, who was heading 18 portfolios. Kailash Gehlot and R.K. Anand have now been trusted to take care of most of Sisodia's departments. However, if Kejriwal was hoping to get rid of the taint cloud on the cabinet with the new appointments, that seems unlikely. Times Now has managed to access the ED charge sheet in the Liquorgate probe, and it is not making things any easier for the new power center, Kailash Gehlot. The man who now handles as many as 12 to 14 portfolios is accused in the ED charge sheet for criminal breach of trust. Here's how. Minister Kailash Gehlot has been accused of misusing his Sarkari bungalow by handing over the keys to scam accused Vijay Nair. The ED charge sheet says that since 2020, Vijay Nair has been residing in a government bungalow allotted to the cabinet minister, something that is punishable under section 405 and 409 of the IPC. Times Now went to the bungalow, and here is what the guard told us.
All these high-end cars and this bungalow is now on the center of agency probe, because according to the ED's information, they have given this particular information to the Central Bureau of Investigation that this particular bungalow, which was allotted to Kailash Gehlot, was used by one of the main accused in the liquor policy case. His name is Vijay Nair, and this is a bungalow which is bungalow number 2, 3 Ataur Rahman Lane, which used to be the residence of Kapil Mishra. Soon after Kapil Mishra left the Aam Aadmi Party's association, he had to change. We have come here to check the fact that whether there is some government official who stays here or not. But what we can see that there are multiple cars which are parked here, and the security guard is also not aware. According to the Enforcement Directorate statement, this is certainly a criminal breach of trust under section 405 of IPC, which can be punishable under section 409.
The BJP is now using this to gun for the Aam Aadmi Party chief's head, asking if Satyendra Jain, Manish Sisodia, Kailash Gehlot all can be acting individually, or are they acting at somebody's behest? And if two ministers are already down, the BJP is now mounting the pressure for Kailash Gehlot to also follow suit, and eventually putting Arvind Kejriwal in the crosshairs.
अगर दो मंत्री इस्तीफा देते हैं तो कैलाश गहलोत जो ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स में पूरी तरह से भागीदारी लेते हैं, वो इस्तीफा क्यों नहीं देते? कि सुई घूम के बार बार कट्टर बेईमान अरविंद केजरीवाल पे आके रुकती है।
मनीष सिसोदिया जी के चाचे पे, ताऊ पे, मामे पे, ताऊ मौसी पे, सब पे रेड मार ली इन्होंने। बैंक लॉकर देख लिए, कुछ नहीं मिला। आने वाले समय में ये तय हुआ है आज सभी एमएलएज और इसके साथ कि दिल्ली के डोर टू डोर कैंपेन करेगी आम आदमी पार्टी। एक एक घर में जाएंगे, एक एक व्यक्ति से बात करेंगे और हम समझाएंगे कि किस तरह से, जैसे एक जमाने में इंदिरा गांधी ने अति कर दी थी, आज प्रधानमंत्री जी अति कर रहे हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us on the debate, Sanju Verma continues with us, as does Mr. R. Rajgopalan, Ravi Srivastava and Akhil Khan, both political analysts joining us now. Sanju Verma, my first question to you. Today Mr. Kejriwal said कि जब अति हो जाती है तो भगवान की झाड़ू चलती है। आपने अति कर दी है, ऊपर से अब आप कैलाश गहलोत का भी रेजिग्नेशन मांग रहे हैं, क्यों?
फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट अरविंद केजरीवाल क्या कहते हैं, इस पर जितनी टिप्पणी कम की जाए वो बेहतर है। पर क्योंकि आपने सवाल पूछा है तो मैं आपको बता दूं, ये वही अरविंद केजरीवाल हैं जो कुछ हफ्ते पहले कह रहे थे मनीष सिसोदिया को भारत रत्न मिलना चाहिए। उन्होंने तो मनीष सिसोदिया की तुलना शहीद भगत सिंह से कर दी। I mean, what can be more hilarious? It would be tragic if it had not been so funny that the prime accused number one in the Delhi liquor scam is being equated by the sitting Chief Minister of Delhi to one of the most well-respected martyrs of our freedom movement. That said, let me just say one thing. Kailash Gehlot is already facing trial in an income tax evasion case since 2018. It is in the public domain. It is not a political witch hunt or a vendetta कि अभी कैलाश गहलोत को और 6 ministries मिल गई हैं. He already has 8 in his kitty. He's being given 6 more. So with that, he will now be handling 14 ministries in close competition with his erstwhile colleague Manish Sisodia, who used to run 18 ministries. I just want to ask one thing to Arvind Kejriwal. Why is it, and Padmaja, this is with no offense to no one in the media, जब उत्तर प्रदेश में कुछ होता है, what is the headline? Yogi Adityanath has to answer blah blah blah. हरियाणा में कुछ होता है, when will ML Khattar resign? मध्य प्रदेश में कुछ होता है, will Shivraj Singh Chauhan respond? Why law and order has deteriorated? Assuming that is the case. अब अरविंद केजरीवाल की दिल्ली में उनके 2 बड़े मंत्री वो जेल की सलाखों के पीछे हैं. There is not a whimper from media. When will Arvind Kejriwal resign as per Article 75 of the Constitution? Okay. He is the head of the cabinet.
To be fair, I don't know how this is about the media. I can't speak for all of media. But questions are asked equally to everyone, to Arvind Kejriwal and to Yogi Adityanath. And when it comes to Hathras, you also said that Yogi Adityanath should not be asked to resign for what has happened in Hathras. But that being said, your criticism is, Ravi Srivastava, if 2 ministers are in jail for corruption,
you guys hounded him.
So everyone gets hounded, even Arvind Kejriwal is being asked questions, the same way that Yogi Adityanath was. Arvind Kejriwal is equally asked questions, everyone is asked questions and they must be asked questions. So that question to you is, Ravi Srivastava, 2 ministers in jail, Kailash Gehlot already under the scanner and he has been given more portfolios. How can the CM shirk responsibility? Ravi Srivastava, answer specifically about Kailash Gehlot.
Responsible for one. Not try to...
See, the people of Delhi have to be served. They deserve it. They have elected the government and the government has to function. The ministries have to function and somebody has to be appointed. Somebody has to be given portfolios. The BJP spokesperson should better know that Yogi Adityanath was asked the questions when 2 women were burnt alive in Kanpur Dehat just 10 days before. Can she respond? Manohar Lal Khattar, who killed Junaid and Nasir.
Okay, can you please answer the question about Kailash Gehlot? You are saying people of Delhi need to be served, but do they need to be served by tainted people, by tainted ministers? Surely you can find someone other than Kailash Gehlot to take on 14 portfolios.
Nobody becomes tainted unless the charges are proved in the court of law and convicted. There is no tainted. Where the taint? The taint is created by you people.
That is quite rich, sir. That is quite rich. That is quite rich coming from the supporter of a party whose only slogan was first resignation, then action. But anyway, so you're saying there is no taint. There is no taint yet. So to ask for anyone's resignation, Mr. Rajgopalan, least of all Kailash Gehlot or Arvind Kejriwal, is pointless. Mr. Rajgopalan.
Ravi Srivastava should answer why the law minister resigned. There are 4 ministers who have resigned along with Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia, Padmaja. You have to understand that the Aam Aadmi Party government, which has all ministry for resignations, most of them come and most of them go. In that circle, all the 70 will become minister. Apart from that, file is missing. Why that file is missing, no one is answering. And second thing, on the day of, even on dry days, the Mahatma Gandhi Samadhi, this Manish Sisodia visited and keeping that, Sarab ki Gotala. And second important thing I want to say, you get 1 bottle free if you buy 1. Like, the advertisement, buy 1, get 1 free. Therefore, buy 1 and get 2 ministers free. Now there's every finance minister, health minister, they have got lot of ministers.
Okay, talking specifically about Kailash Gehlot, you said that nothing has been proven against him, but that's not the only charge. Not only in the DTC scam, the alleged scam, but also in the present case, when Liquorgate is concerned, Mr. Akil Khan, here is what the ED has said in its charge sheet. The ED says that Kailash Gehlot gave his official residence to Vijay Nair in Delhi. These facts are relevant to mention so as to establish his actions in relation to the excise policy scam by the political leaders of AAP. This action is a criminal breach of trust and is punishable since the minister is a public servant. When a minister is allotted a government accommodation, he makes a representation. It will be used by himself, and by allowing someone to use the residence who is not entitled to it also is an offence under 4115 and 420 of the IPC. So even in liquor gate, Mr. Akil Khan, the ED is saying कि कैलाश गहलोत ने अपना सरकारी बंगला विजय नायर को क्यों दिया? वो बंगला जहां पर मीटिंग होती थी, जहां से फोन कॉल किए जाते थे, जहां से पूरी लिकर पॉलिसी डिसाइड हो रही थी. अकील खान साहब.
Madam, please tell me, this law is same for all the people of the country, right?
Yes.
Law is meant for everybody equally in the country. So what about Adani's plane? Our Prime Minister was
Mr. Khan, please. This is such a tired old thing, going round and round. Let's talk on facts. Was Vijay Nair staying in Kailash Gehlot's bungalow? Yes or no? Was Vijay Nair staying in Kailash Gehlot's bungalow? Yes or no?
Biggest villain of the world.
Was Vijay Nair staying in Kailash Gehlot's bungalow? Yes or no?
I will not answer your specific question.
Why?
Because you have to debate in a right context, in a greater context, and not isolating someone.
Of course, I have to debate in a factual context, not generics.
Tell me.
Your debate is the kind of debate where you are saying कि देश खतरे में है. But where are the facts to substantiate that? I am asking you specifically. Let me get in Mr. Srivastava. No, sir, I do not believe in having a rhetorical shouting match. So let me get in Ravi Srivastava. Ravi Srivastava, Vijay Nair was jailed. He was named as one of the masterminds or the main coordinators of the liquor scam. Kailash Gehlot, who is now the second most important man in the Delhi government, gave his official bungalow to Vijay Nair. ED says this shows his involvement as well.
Let ED produce the agreement between Vijay Nair and Kailash Gehlot that he gave his bungalow to him.
ये क्या बात हुई? अरे Vijay Nair stayed there. It is established. Vijay Nair stayed there.
ये क्या बात हुई? अरे false charges will be responded by the false statement only.
Okay.
You give a false charge.
I don't think you watched our story. The guard there says कि हाँ यहाँ पर साहब रहते थे sir. There is no secret. Mr. Rajgopalan is very well aware of the central Delhi. बताइए भाई, what is the evidence कि विजय नायर वहाँ रहते थे, Mr. Rajgopalan?
उनके घर में था, उनके घर में एड्रेस था, उनके घर में मोबाइल फोन का जीरो भी वेवलेंथ का. Technically it is proved also. Vijay Nair was staying at Gehlot house. Why Ravi Srivastava is forgetting that? He is sitting in Mumbai. He does not know that.
Show the basic evidence at least.
They have already, God has said there is an agreement. Srivastava, there is an agreement.
And it is none of your business. It is none of your business where I stay. I know everything.
You live in London along with the Vijay Mallya.
Okay, no, it is okay. Jokes apart, sir, Mr. Srivastava. It is everyone's business who stays where, because if somebody is engaging in corruption and they are using a government bungalow for it, it is the taxpayer's business, first of all, because the taxpayer pays for that bungalow. And that bungalow was allotted to a minister of the Delhi government, not to a private citizen, Vijay Nair. And if corruption has happened at that address, it is our business and it is your business also if you are a taxpayer of Delhi. Sanju Verma wants to make a point.
Thank you. Padmaja ji, I just want to very quickly make one very important point, that the 2018 case for which Kailash Gehlot is still under trial, it pertains A to income tax evasion of 120 crores. But more importantly, Padmaja, I'm sure you're aware of this detail, that there are two of his companies which have been named as part of a money laundering business. One is a company called Brisk Infrastructure and one is a company called Corporate International Financial Services Private Limited. Both these companies are being investigated, and very importantly, in both these companies which are owned by Kailash Gehlot, 70 crores worth of equity has been given to Kailash Gehlot's driver, his peon, his security guard, and that is what is being probed by the tax authority. authorities as to whether these people are a facade for a larger money laundering exercise which Kailash Gehlot has been a part of.
Answer, Mr. Srivastav.
Why Mr. Modi is not investigated?
You talk
why the
about
5 lakh crore of corporate loans waived off? Why it is not investigated?
Why has he given 70 crore worth of equity to his peon and to his driver?
The investors' money in the market. Why it is not being investigated? Why the Adani port they unloaded 3,000 tons of the drugs? Why it is not being investigated? Why DHFL which paid 29
zero cents on most debates?
Okay, Mr. Srivastav, actually the answer to most of those questions is it is not for lack of trying. Whether it is Rafale, whether it is Pegasus, whether it is, you know, that fantastical thing which was put on people's mobile phones apparently and was hacking all their mobile phones, people have gone to court. People have tried to have cases against Mr. Modi and all of them have been turned down by the court. So here it is the court which has sent Mr. Sisodia into custody. It is the courts who have kept Mr. Satyendra Jain behind bars, and it is the courts ultimately which will also decide whether Mr. Gehlot is innocent or guilty. Neither will be the BJP, neither will it be you, neither will it be Mr. Rajgopalan. But the suspicion always arises, Mr. Rajgopalan, like Mr. Srivastav was saying, कि जो भी मंत्रालय में आता है, whoever enters Kejriwal's ministry, all their files are open. This just seems like harassment. Now you will go after Kailash Gehlot also. Tomorrow maybe Saurabh Bharadwaj also. Maybe Atishi also if they become ministers.
He's occupying Gehlot's house. That is the simple question.
They have to run the government. What is wrong in it?
Therefore, rigmarole. Therefore, money making.
What is wrong in it? They have to run the government. They have competent people. They have got honest people to work. They can appoint anybody a minister.
Okay, they can appoint anyone a minister.
Will he consult a Rajgopalan for appointing somebody as a minister?
Absolutely not. They can appoint anyone a minister. But then also questions will be asked that if they were the most competent and the most honest people, why was their resignation taken eventually? And also remember a very important development that has taken place in Punjab, which strangely doesn't get talked about that often, which is that within a year of the Punjab government being sworn in, you've had Fauja Singh Sarari, the horticulture minister, who in fact was forced to quit in the middle of an extortion scandal. Eventually, just lately, you had another minister who had to step down again after his PA was caught accepting bribes. So it's not just in Delhi, but also elsewhere where questions are being asked of Aam Aadmi Party, their ministers and MLAs on the issue of corruption. How this investigation goes, we will keep a close eye on the facts. For the time being, all gentlemen, Sanju Verma, thanks for joining me.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
mm extra, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह. यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की. Namaste Times Drive family. I'm Kranti Sambhav. Welcome to the first drive review of BMW 3 Series GL यानी Grand Limousine, जो obviously regular 3 Series से ज्यादा लंबी है. व्हील बेस के हिसाब से कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal defends Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain and has declared war against the BJP. He has announced a door-to-door campaign and says he will take the message to the people. Mukhtar Ansari gang's shooter Brijesh Sonkar was arrested with an illegal weapon and the police is set to interrogate him in connection with the Prayagraj case. Rajasthan BJP MP Kirori Lal Meena says the Pulwama martyrs have been betrayed and claims that widows of 5 Pulwama martyrs are yet to be compensated. The sarpanches of various villages from across Haryana staged protest against the government's e-tendering policy and were lathi-charged during the protest. ED has summoned Kerala Chief Minister's additional private secretary in connection with the Life Mission Housing Project corruption case.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मोहुल, who is founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीजें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं. So इस बाइक को लेकर
The News Hour at 10.
DGCA has suspended the pilot who operated the New York-Delhi flight on which the accused S. Mishra allegedly urinated on a woman. One woman allegedly died due to medical negligence in Jaipur. The kin of the deceased staged protests seeking action against the doctor. 7 of the 8 guilty in the Bhopal-Ujjain passenger train blast case have been given death sentence by the special NIA court. One accused has been given life imprisonment. In a shocking incident, a badminton player in Hyderabad collapsed and died while onlookers stood as mute spectators. Fire breaks out in a multi-story building near the Pulbangash metro station. At least 18 fire tenders were rushed to the spot. This happened in New Delhi.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे. अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स. ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा. Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है. जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है. जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा. इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है. लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको. यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है. यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक. अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं. उफ, वेरी वाइब्रेंट एंड पेपी येलो कलर. Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark gray, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा. जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स. वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है. और यहाँ पे जो येलो है, दिस इज लिटिल बिट डल, नॉट एज वाइब्रेंट एज द बॉक्स और प्रॉपर येलो. वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है, इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है. फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है. इसको साइड में रखते हैं, अभी ऑन भी करेंगे और उसके बाद स्मार्टफोन के बारे में बात करेंगे. पहले देखते हैं और क्या आपको बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई देगा. यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 67 वॉट चार्जिंग ब्रिक. I really liked how they have written 67 watt here. बहुत ही बढ़िया फॉन्ट लग रहा है. कुछ डिफरेंट देखने को मिला, वरना ज्यादातर यहाँ पर नॉर्मली लिख देते हैं 67 और 80. तो ये जो इसने हल्का सा छोटा सा अटेम्प्ट किया है विद द डिजाइन, आई रियली लाइक. साथ में आपको मिलता है टाइप सी केबल विद ऑरेंज एक्सेंट्स, जैसे कि आप यहाँ देख पा रहे होंगे. इसको भी साइड में रखते हैं. And that's it. That's all you get inside the box. अब बात करते हैं स्मार्टफोन के बारे में. जरा मुझे इसे ऑन करने दीजिए. फोन को यहाँ पर सेटअप करना मैंने शुरू कर दिया है. जैसे कि आप देख पाएंगे, दिस फोन रन्स ऑन MIUI 14. साथ इसको हम सेट करते रहेंगे और फोन के बारे में बात करते रहेंगे, बिकॉज यही तो सबसे ज्यादा बढ़िया पॉइंट होता है जब भी आप नया फोन सेटअप करते हैं. द फीलिंग ऑफ सेटिंग अप and shifting to a new smartphone. तो यहाँ पर इसको सेटअप कर रहे हैं। टिल द टाइम लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द डिस्प्ले। तो यहाँ पर आपको विद पोको X5 Pro मिलता है AMOLED डिस्प्ले विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ 120 हर्ट्ज रिफ्रेश रेट। बेसिकली स्क्रोलिंग एनिमेशन शुड बी स्मूदर, क्योंकि 120 हर्ट्ज अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे स्टैंडर्ड भी हो गया है। देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन 90 हर्ट्ज यूज्ड टू बी द स्टैंडर्ड रिफ्रेश रेट, बट 120 अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद कॉर्निंग गोरिल्ला ग्लास 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग IP53 रेटिंग to prevent all the dust as well as water splashes. यहाँ पर और जैसे कि डिस्प्ले पे आपको दिख रहा होगा bezels are pretty thin. In fact यहाँ पर चारों साइड पे मुझे सेम bezels दिखाई दे रहे हैं, मतलब मेजरमेंट उनका, और थिन भी लग रहा है। यहाँ पे वाइट बैकग्राउंड पे देखेंगे तो आई थिंक इसका जो व्यूइंग एक्सपीरियंस है दैट शुड एड टू इट बिकॉज ऑफ द थिन bezels। और सामने आपको यहाँ पर दिख रहा होगा पंच होल कैमरा। दिस इज अ 16 मेगापिक्सल फ्रंट शूटर टू क्लिक ऑल द वाइब्रेंट सेल्फीज एज वेल एज मेक वीडियो ब्लॉग्स। कैमरास की यहाँ पे बात की है तो एक बार आपको पीछे वाले कैमरास के बारे में भी बता देते हैं। रेक्टेंगुलर कैमरा मॉड्यूल आपको यहाँ दिखाई देगा। इसको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए थोड़ा सा ब्लैक पैच यहाँ पे स्ट्रेच किया गया है। नाउ दिस कैमरा मॉड्यूल houses 3 cameras in total. The main camera is a 108 megapixel shooter. उसी के साथ आपको मिलता है अल्ट्रा वाइड लेंस एज वेल एज मैक्रो लेंस फॉर ऑल द मैक्रो फोटोग्राफर लवर्स। अब बात करते हैं थोड़ी सी डिजाइन की। रेयर पैनल के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं। फ्रेम की बात करें तो राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर, उसी के नीचे येलो एक्सेंट में आपको मिलता है पावर बटन। दिस पावर बटन ऑल्सो एक्ट्स एज अ फिंगरप्रिंट स्कैनर। वो कितना फास्ट है ये आपको रिव्यू वीडियो में बताएंगे। बॉटम की बात करें तो आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे, टाइप सी पोर्ट एंड स्पीकर। एवरीथिंग इज इन ब्लैक गाइस, सो आई डोंट नो कि वीडियो में कितना दिखाई दे रहा होगा। फ्रेम ब्लैक है और सारे के सारे जो पोर्ट्स हैं वो भी ब्लैक हैं, तो आई रियली होप आपको दिख रहा होगा। लेफ्ट साइड ऑफ द फ्रेम इज प्रीटी नीट। ओह माय गॉड, now this smartphone actually gets some brownie points क्योंकि on the top you also get a 3.5 mm headphone jack. So this smartphone is actually a mid-ranger और इस प्राइस पर आपको इतनी चीजें मिलना is actually a good thing. So basically the phone fetches brownie points for the 3.5 mm headphone jack. अब एक बार चलते हैं सेटिंग्स की ओर और देखते हैं कि फोन में और क्या क्या है। सेटिंग्स में हम आ चुके हैं, एक बार देखते हैं फोन के बारे में। जैसे कि हम बता चुके हैं, सॉफ्टवेयर की बात करें तो दिस फोन रन्स ऑन MIUI 14 बेस्ड ऑन Android 12, तो ये आपको मिलता है इस स्मार्टफोन के साथ। अब बैटरी की बात की जाए तो दिस स्मार्टफोन comes with 5000 mAh battery capacity and like I showed you the adapter, this also supports 67 watt fast charging technology. जाते जाते एक और चीज बता दूं that this newly launched X5 Pro comes with the support of Dolby Vision as well as Dolby Atmos. स्टेरियो स्पीकर्स का सपोर्ट इसमें आपको मिलता है, तो गेमिंग एक्सपीरियंस और while watching content this should actually be really good on this smartphone, but this will get to know in a full review video. जैसे कि आप देख पा रहे हैं यहाँ पे ईयरबड्स के काफी सारे फीचर्स ऑलरेडी मेंशन्ड हैं। यू गेट ट्रांसलूसेंट जेली केस, 13.4 mm लार्ज ड्राइवर्स, एनको मास्टर साउंड इफेक्ट्स, AI डीप नॉइज कैंसिलेशन फॉर कॉल्स, लॉन्ग बैटरी लाइफ, बाइनॉरल लो लेटेंसी विद ब्लूटूथ 5.3 ट्रांसमिशन। तो ये सारी चीजें इसके बारे में हैं। थोड़ा सा इसका डिजाइन ऐसा लगने वाला है, अनबॉक्स करके पता चलेगा एग्जैक्टली कैसा दिखेगा। राइट साइड पे यहाँ पर कंपनी ने कुछ चीजें लिखी हुई हैं। अब निकालते हैं इस ईयरबड्स को डब्बे से बाहर। वो ओके, काफी स्लिपरी सा मुझे लगा बिकॉज ऑफ द प्लास्टिक कवर, बट ऐसा नहीं है। यहाँ पे अच्छी ग्रिप बन पा रही है, काफी लाइट वेट भी दिख रहा है। एंड एक्चुअली जैसे बॉक्स पे मेंशन था, दिस इज अ ट्रांसलूसेंट केस। मैंने तो फर्स्ट टाइम देखा है, लुक्स रियली नाइस। मजा सा आ रहा है इसको देखने में नॉट रियली बट अच्छा लग रहा है। यहाँ पीछे की तरफ ओप्पो ने ब्रांडिंग अपने ओप्पो एनको की हुई है। बहुत छोटा सा यहाँ पर स्टिकर है काफी प्यारा सा इसका लुक है, सामने ओप्पो लिखा हुआ है। अब इसको एक सेकेंड गाइस, काफी अलग सा शेप और डिजाइन है, अच्छा लग रहा है देखने में। और यहाँ पे आपको मिलता है कुछ ऐसा लुक विद द न्यू ओप्पो एनको एयर 3। दिस वन इज इन वाइट कलर ऑप्शन और काफी ही यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे जैसे केस पर है ना नीचे ट्रांसलूसेंट इफेक्ट, यहाँ पे भी स्टॉक खत्म होने के बाद आपको हल्का सा प्लास्टिक क्रिस्टल टाइप इफेक्ट यहाँ पे दिख रहा है। काफी नया और मिनिमलिस्ट तो नहीं है बट डिस्टिंक्टिव है। आई रियली लाइक्ड इट, बहुत अच्छा सा लुक इसको दे रहा है, देखने में अच्छा लग रहा है। बट पर्सनली देखो गाइज यहाँ पे ना आपको ठीक से ये डिजाइन दिखेगा ये वाला। हाँ, so what I was saying is personally I really prefer the earbuds that come with canal ear tips। मुझे वो ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल लगते हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि ये अनकंफर्टेबल होगा, ये भी अच्छा होगा। बाकी एक्चुअल में इसका यूसेज कैसा है वो चीजें हमको यूज करने के बाद पता चलेंगी। सो यू गाइज नीड टू स्टे ट्यून टू गैजेट टाइम्स, जैसे कि मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ। इसके फुल रिव्यू के लिए बॉक्स में आपको ये मैनुअल गाइड भी मिलता है, सेफ्टी गाइड या मैनुअल गाइड विच विल टेल यू अबाउट द प्रोडक्ट इवन मोर। सेटअप कैसे करना है आप इसके थ्रू देख सकते हैं। यहाँ पे जेस्चर्स मेंशन है कि कितनी बार टैप करने से क्या एक्टिवेट होगा, तो इसको एक बार पढ़ लीजिएगा। लेफ्ट साइड और राइट साइड के जेस्चर्स यहाँ पे मेंशन है। वॉल्यूम डाउन अप करने के लिए आपको क्या दबाना है वो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है। सो ये था इसका ओवरऑल लुक। ड्राइवर्स का साइज आपको बता चुके हैं 13.4 mm, काफी बड़ा साइज है, यूज करने के बाद पता चलेगा कि कैसा दिखने वाला है। सो या
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them, I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source, and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the Newshour at 9, only on Times Now.
Andhra Pradesh, we have the natural advantage, especially for logistics sector. We have the excellent opportunities.
Infrastructure is very, very stable. So that's the reason why we decided to invest more business and bring from Japan.
Andhra Pradesh has emerged as one of the fastest growing state in the country. We have registered a GDP of 11.43%, which is the highest in the country for 2021-22. So come over to Andhra Pradesh, have a feel of the state, and I assure you that you would enjoy the way forward.
Welcome to the Andhra Pradesh Global Investors Summit 2023, March 3rd and 4th in Visakhapatnam. Come experience the advantage Andhra Pradesh, where abundance meets prosperity.
I look forward to meeting you, all of you, once again in Visakhapatnam.
जब आप आगे चलते हैं तो बहुत कुछ पीछे छूट जाता है। किसी के फैशनेबल कपड़े ना पहन पाने की वजह पीछे छूट जाती है। यही नहीं, रोज 10,000 स्टेप्स चलने से आपको मिलेगा अप टू 100% प्रीमियम वापस एज हेल्थ रिटर्न्स और सीमलेस हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन बेनिफिट्स भी। सही सेहत की शुरुआत अभी करो।
अरे भेज दिया डैड ने यार, कहते जाओ पासबुक अपडेट करा के लाओ।
मिस्टर चिंटू, हेलो, प्लीज प्लीज अपडेट।
हाँ, वैसे ये सब तो आपके ऐप पे भी दिख जाता है ना?
हाँ,
पापा को बताऊंगा।
वो फिर भी यहाँ आएंगे।
क्यों?
पासबुक तो घर पे दिख जाएगा, किंतु उनका जोक्स पे हंसने वाला यहीं मिलेगा।
रिश्ता आपसे है, सिर्फ ऐप से नहीं। फेडरल बैंक, योर परफेक्ट बैंकिंग पार्टनर।
यहाँ क्या चल रहा है?
जैकवार लग रहा है।
कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम में।
So yeah, that was our performance in the last quarter.
These numbers don't look good at all. Investors को क्या जवाब देंगे?
Sir, I think we should launch a new website.
I agree. Revenues मिल सकते हैं. Let's make it a working lunch.
भाई साहब, जैकवार लाइट्स लग रही हैं।
The largest bath brand in the country now also brings you the magic of light. Jacqua Bath and Lights.
एक बार ही किया तो यारो प्यार क्या किया, एक बार ही किया तो यारो प्यार क्या किया, प्यार होता 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 कई बार है, प्यार होता 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 कई बार है।
I got the magic, feel like I'm a greyhound looking at a rabbit. Finish line so close, I reach out and grab it. I only look back just to look at your reaction.
110 mm extra.
Sisodia and Satyendra Jain declares war against the BJP, announces door-to-door campaign, says will take the message to the people that they are being targeted. Delhi LG accepts Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain's resignations, forwards them to President Murmu. Row over Manish Sisodia's undated and typed resignation letter. BJP questions whether he signed it before grilling and arrested by the CBI. In a likely cabinet rejig, Aam Aadmi Party legislators Saurabh Bharadwaj and Atishi likely to be elevated as ministers to the cabinet as well. BJP slams Aam Aadmi Party over Delhi liquor policy scam, fires mastermind jab at Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in a mocking video. Delhi Chief Minister calls meeting of Aam Aadmi Party MLAs and MCD councillors at his residence. In an interesting turn of events, Gazette notification accessed by Times Now still shows Sisodia and Jain as ministers. Delhi government clarifies this is because presidential assent has not been received yet. Punjab BJP leader Anil Arand holds a press conference, demands probe into Punjab excise policy as well. Punjab's leader of opposition and Congress leader Pratap Singh Bajwa seeks a thorough probe by ED on Punjab liquor policy. Amidst Sisodia arrest headache, another jolt to Aam Aadmi Party in Karnataka. Former IPS officer Bhaskar Rao jumps ship, joins the BJP. Bulldozer action in Umesh Pal murder case. Bulldozers rolled on properties belonging to gangster Atiq Ahmed and his aides, who are also accused in the murder. Incriminating articles recovered from Atiq Ahmed's aide Zafar Ahmed's house, rifles and swords seized. Another SP Mafia link out, close aide of Atiq Ghulam's picture with Akhilesh Yadav goes viral. Mukhtar Ansari gang's shooter Brajesh Sonkar arrested with illegal weapon in possession. Cops grill him in connection with Prayagraj case. BJP corners Nitish government over insult to Galwan martyr's father, holds protest inside the state assembly, alleges cops acted on Nitish's instructions. JDU and RJD dig in their heels. State Minister Ashok Chaudhary accuses martyr's father, says the memorial was built on government land. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh dials Bihar Chief Minister over assault on martyr's father, condemns the act. Rajasthan BJP MP Kirodi Lal Meena alleges betrayal of Pulwama martyrs, claims widows of 5 Pulwama martyrs yet to be compensated. Sarpanches of various villages from across Haryana stage protests against government's e-tendering policy, lathicharge at the site. India reaffirms this is not an era of war position on Russia-Ukraine conflict during G20 Foreign Ministers Summit. Amidst row over BBC documentary, UK Foreign Secretary raises concerns. EAM says oil companies in India must follow law of the land. Crackdown against Soros-backed think tank Centre suspends a CPR's FCRA license, but CPR claims it is in compliance with the law. Domestic LPG prices hiked by 50 rupees per cylinder, first hike since July last year. Akhilesh Yadav flags hike in domestic use LPG, slams government, says people are being looted. BJP National President JP Nadda flags off Vijay Sankalp Yatra in Karnataka's Chamarajnagar. Government employees stage protest in Karnataka. Bombay government announces 17% salary hike as an interim relief. Times Now news break from 3 weeks ago confirmed Shafi Billare, an accused in Praveen Netaru murder case, will be contesting on STPI ticket. A fire broke out in a multi-story building near Pul Bangesh metro station. At least 18 fire tenders were rushed to the spot. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin holds a mega anti-Modi bloc meeting as part of his birthday celebrations. National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah bats for him as the next Prime Minister. Indian national shot dead by Australian cops in Sydney. He allegedly had stabbed a cleaner and then attacked the cops too threateningly with a knife. All entry and boarding gates of Delhi Airport's Terminal 2 and 3 will become Digi Yatra enabled by the end of March this year. DGCA has suspended the pilot who operated the New York-Delhi flight on which accused S. Mishra allegedly urinated on a woman. Woman allegedly dies due to medical negligence in Jaipur. Kin of the deceased stage protest seeking action against the errant doctor. Section 144 imposed in